Chapter 1555. Who's there? In the stone room, the 5 people turned around when they heard the voice. Immediately, they saw a black figure standing at the entrance of the stone room. Before the crowd could react, the black figure flashed past the stone room like a ghost and directly floated in the air of the stone room. At this moment, everyone could clearly see the appearance of the black figure. What shocked the 5 people was that the black figure was the elder of the Scarlet Flame tribe who had organized the trade fair outside before they entered the Sunset Valley. Back then, Longchen had released his mind power to probe the elder's strength at the trade fair. However, he was countered in an instant. From this, it could be seen that Elder Scarlet Flame's strength was most likely at the Hong Meng Yuan Jia level. Elder Scarlet Flame seemed to have an impression of the few people present. He smiled and said, "Since you guys came first, I can spare your lives. Moreover, no one can take any of the elixirs. However, you have to leave the green jade spirit fruit for me." An elder of the Scarlet Flame tribe, "This is not good," Long Yan said in a low voice. Long Ping cursed, "How unlucky. Didn't they say that the Scarlet Flame tribe was at another entrance? Why did we meet them here? And it just had to be this elder." Long Chen also sighed. In his heart, he thought that his luck was really bad. This time, he had met Elder Scarlet Flame. If he wanted to benefit from him, he did not know what kind of price he would have to pay. However, Long Chen was not afraid. After all, this kind of thing was also within Long Chen's expectations. In this small spiritual world, the law of the jungle prevailed. Without a big enough fist, one did not have the right to speak. This time, they had met Elder Scarlet Flame. If Long Chen continued to cultivate in the small spiritual world, he would probably have to face many more similar situations in the future. Long Yan and the other 3's expressions had already become somewhat timid under Elder Scarlet Flame's deterrence. After all, in the face of Elder Scarlet Flame's powerful strength, Long Yan and the others had no way to deal with him. Looking at Long Yan and the others' reactions, Elder Scarlet Flame sneered. He no longer paid attention to them and immediately swooped down, heading straight for the green jade spirit fruit in the middle of the stone room. "Wait!" Just as Elder Qian was about to move, Long Chen yelled out loudly, directly forcing Elder Qian, who was indulging in his fantasies, to retreat. Along with this shout, Long Chen's body also emitted a strong Hong Meng aura, immediately wrapping himself and the emerald jade spirit tree together. When he saw this scene, Long Yan also became nervous. From Long Yan's point of view, Long Chen was obviously going to compete with Elder Qian for this green jade spirit fruit. After all, in the face of this green jade spirit fruit, it was not strange that Long Chen would do such a thing. "Long Chen, forget it. We are no match for them." Long Yan knew that Elder Qian's strength was unfathomable. Although Long Chen had previously received an all-out attack from Lei Qianhua of the Thunder Rush tribe from the Hong Meng Yuan Jia, there was still some reason behind that. If he really met someone like Elder Qian, Long Chen would have absolutely no way to deal with him. Long Chen naturally knew what Long Yan was thinking. However, Long Chen's face was still like an ancient well without any ripples. He slowly said, "I know what I'm doing. I can handle it." As his voice fell, Long Chen looked at Elder Qian, who was in midair. After Elder Qian was stunned for a moment, he regained his senses. It was likely that he did not care about someone with Long Chen's strength. As for the green jade spirit tree behind Long Chen, it was the thing that Elder Qian valued the most. Elder Qian's flying speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, his figure was directly above Long Chen. Bang! Just as Elder Qian was about to land, a scene that no one had expected occurred. The green jade spirit tree, which was originally extremely weak in everyone's eyes, suddenly erupted with a vigorous Hong Meng aura. It immediately exploded on the green jade spirit fruit's body. What surprised Long Chen the most was that although this vigorous Hong Meng aura was strong, it only had an effect on Elder Qian. As for Long Chen, who was closest to the green jade spirit fruit, it did not hurt him at all. Elder Qian was forcibly pushed back by the force, and his figure fell to the side. Elder Qian's face slightly changed. He could not help but frown. He had never thought that this green jade spirit tree would be able to attack others like a demonic beast. However, Elder Qian obviously would not give up. Even if this green jade spirit tree could do more things that he could not imagine, today, he was determined to obtain the green jade spirit fruit. Elder Qian rushed over once again. A fierce Hongmeng aura was generated in his palm, and he steadily pounced on the green jade spirit tree. Presumably, in Elder Qian's opinion, if the green jade spirit tree had such a vigorous force, his attacks would not have been able to harm the green jade spirit tree. However, Elder Qian's second attack did not have much of an effect. What surprised everyone even more was that this green jade spirit fruit seemed to be full of intelligence. It actually knew Elder Qian's thoughts. When Elder Qian pounced on it, it was able to respond with a very good strategy. Elder Qian failed again and again, and was repelled by the green jade spirit tree time and time again. Long Yan and the rest were dumbfounded as they watched this scene. Their expressions were filled with shock. If it was said that the green jade spirit tree was able to resist outsiders, this was nothing. However, this green jade spirit tree was actually able to withstand the Hongmeng Yuanjie's elite. Moreover, it had a great advantage. This was something that no one had expected. Long Chen retreated to Long Yan's side. He chuckled and said, "I have long heard that the green jade spirit tree is a divine object that was born in Hongmeng. To be able to grow a green jade spirit fruit here, it must have lived for as long as 100,000 years. After such a long time, even the most ordinary tree would have the strength of Hongmeng Yuanjie. Needless to say, in these 100,000 years, the green jade spirit tree has evolved into intelligence. What would it be like?" Previously, Long Chen had only watched in front of the green jade spirit tree and did not make a move because he had considered this point. Now, seeing that Elder Qian and the green jade spirit fruit were having a great time fighting, Long Chen was happy and at ease. Long Yan let out a long breath and said, "Long Chen, since even Elder Qian is unable to take down this green jade spirit tree, why don't we leave now? If we stay here and something else happens, it will not be easy to clean up the mess." Chapter 1556. As soon as he finished speaking, Long Chen's figure flashed and directly rushed towards the green jade spirit tree. Looking at Long Chen's actions, Long Chen's heart suddenly tightened. Not to mention the green jade spirit tree, just the Hongmeng Yuanjie's Elder Qian was something that Long Chen could not deal with. How big was Long Chen? How could he have the confidence to do such a thing? Snatching food from the tiger's mouth? Ignorant ant, are you courting death? Elder Qian, who had been entangled with the green jade spirit tree for a long time, saw Long Chen rushing towards him, and a mocking expression immediately appeared on his face. In his opinion, this green jade spirit tree that even he did not have the confidence to take down, and Long Chen in front of him actually dared to come and join in the fun, he was really courting death. Long Chen did not care about Elder Qian's mockery at all. Golden light flickered around his body, and wherever the primal chaos golden codex went, bursts of Hongmeng Qi exploded like a tide. Then, it converged into a golden barrier around Long Chen's body. Immediately, it blocked more than half of the violent aura that burst out from the green jade spirit tree. Long Chen understood that if he wanted to block the attack of the green jade spirit tree, it was not very possible. The only way to successfully take the green jade spirit fruit was to withstand the pressure of the green jade spirit tree, and then nibble away the essence of the green jade spirit tree bit by bit. After that, he would try to take the green jade spirit fruit by surprise. At this moment, the green jade spirit tree was focused on attacking Elder Qian on the other side, and the pressure on his side was reduced by a lot. Without a doubt, this was a great opportunity for Long Chen. The green jade spirit tree was not a demonic beast. Although it was powerful, the green jade spirit tree still had a fatal weakness, which was that it could not move. Specks of starlight appeared, and the barrier around Long Chen had already condensed into a monstrous starlight array. Elder Qian also gradually realized Long Chen's idea, and his expression immediately became somewhat furious. Elder Qian would definitely not be willing to hand over the divine object that was about to be in his hands to others. However, no matter how anxious Elder Qian was, there were some things that could not be undone. Elder Qian had already attracted all of the green jade spirit tree's attention. The strong Hongmeng force was constantly suppressing Elder Qian's movements. Without the pressure of Elder Qian, Longchen was naturally much more relaxed. Relying on the powerful protection provided by the Great Starlight Formation, Longchen withstood the mountain-like pressure and slowly approached the green jade spirit tree. On top of the green jade spirit tree, the green jade spirit fruit glowed with a faint yellow light and emitted an alluring fragrance. This green jade spirit fruit was perhaps where the essence of the green jade spirit tree was located. After tens of thousands of years of nurturing, only one green jade spirit fruit had grown. The energy contained within it was naturally difficult to estimate. Longchen was confident that as long as he was given the opportunity to touch the green jade spiritual fruit, he could successfully pluck the Hongmeng divine object that drove Elder Qian crazy. He was getting closer and closer. He moved it bit by bit. His efforts paid off. Finally, Longchen's fingers touched the green jade spirit fruit. Elder Qian withstood the pressure of the powerful Hongmeng force, but could only helplessly watch Longchen pluck the green jade spirit fruit that he had coveted for a long time. The moment he touched the green jade spirit fruit, Longchen felt a pure and clear Hongmeng aura coming from his fingers. This aura, however, could make people feel relaxed and happy. Longchen tightly knitted his brows. A trace of blood had already flowed out from the corner of his mouth. This was the pressure of the green jade spirit tree. Longchen would not be able to withstand it. And at this moment, Longchen's fingers emitted a gentle yet powerful Hongmeng aura, directly wrapping around the green jade spirit fruit. Then, Longchen's mind moved. With a beautiful pull, the Hongmeng aura retracted, and the green jade spirit fruit steadily fell into his hand. In Longchen's hand. Phew! The moment the green jade spirit fruit fell, the pressure from the green jade spirit tree immediately disappeared. Longchen finally let out a long sigh of relief. Longchen did not hesitate. His figure immediately retreated, leaving this area. Looking at the green jade spirit fruit in his hand, which was emitting a strong Hongmeng aura, Longchen's face could not help but reveal a trace of a smile. However, things would not always go according to one's wishes. The moment Longchen kept the green jade spirit fruit, a strong murderous aura rose in the stone room. I'll give you a chance. Hand over the green jade spirit fruit. Otherwise, the five of you can forget about leaving this underground palace alive. Elder Qian's gaze was deep, and his expression was incomparably furious. Obviously, he was extremely dissatisfied with the fact that Longchen had used him previously. Hearing this, Long Yan and the others did not have the time to be happy about Longchen's success in obtaining the green jade spirit fruit. What they had to face now was the fury of a Hongmeng Yuanjia elite. Longchen was not as worried as Long Yan. He looked at the furious Elder Qian and could not help but laugh out loud. He then said, "Then tell me, why should I?" As his voice fell, Long Yan and the others looked in surprise at Longchen, who was not affected by Elder Qian's anger at all. They could not help but worry. At this moment, Elder Qian was already extremely furious. However, he was still satisfied with the outcome of this matter. The green jade spirit fruit had been successfully plucked. Although it was not his now, in Elder Qian's opinion, it would soon be his. Soon, it would be his. Young man, don't do such insignificant things. You're only at the Hongmeng consolidation realm. What confidence do you have that you dare to speak to me like this? If I wanted to kill you, it would only take a breath. When Longchen heard this, he immediately nodded and said, "You're right. With your strength, it's naturally easy for you to kill someone at my level. However, you may have forgotten to consider one thing. That is, I'm also at the Hongmeng realm. People at the same level are not the same." When Long Yan and the others saw this scene, their expressions gradually became tense. The atmosphere in the stone room was also extremely tense. Although Longchen could block a full blow from a Hongmeng Yuanjia elite, it was only one move. Moreover, it was because Lei Qianhua was too arrogant. Now, Elder Qian was obviously not someone with Lei Qianhua's character. Moreover, Elder Qian's strength was naturally still higher than Lei Qianhua's. Besides, if he did not give the green jade spirit fruit to Elder Qian, it was likely that Elder Qian, or even the entire Qian tribe, would not let this matter rest. Long Yuan's expression was calm. Along the way, Long Chen had brought him too many miracles. Long Yuan believed that this time, Long Chen would bring him another miracle. Chapter 1557. As soon as he finished speaking, the atmosphere in the stone room froze to the freezing point. After a few breaths, Long Yen saw a thick murderous intent appear on Elder Qian's face. Bang! A low roar burst out from Elder Qian's mouth. Immediately, a surge of thick Hong Meng aura spread out from his body. At the same time, this Hong Meng aura was mixed with flashes of green light. Before Long Chen could make any preparations, Elder Qian waved his hand. The elder waved his hand and sent out a huge beam of light that shook the entire stone room. It directly shot towards Long Chen. As the brilliance swept out, the air in the stone room condensed together. Wherever the brilliance passed, a vacuum was formed. In an instant, this vacuum was filled with Hong Meng aura from Elder Qian's body. Reprimand. Domain. This was a technique unique to experts at the primordial realm. They could condense primordial chaos into the primordial realm and form a domain that belonged to them. In this domain, the primordial realm expert was a god. If Elder Qian really got what he wanted, even if there were 5 Long Chens, they might not be his match. It was obvious that Elder Qian had no intention of giving Long Chen a chance to escape from the very beginning. Ah! Seeing Elder Qian's fierce attack, Long Chen steadied himself. He first signaled to the 4 people behind him with his eyes, telling them to quickly leave the stone room. Then, Long Chen activated the Primal Chaos Golden Codex and took a deep breath. Explode! Long Chen shouted. Immediately, the golden light around Long Chen's body flourished. A burst of Hong Meng aura broke through the air. Long Yan and the other 3 retreated from the stone room and stood a few feet away. They watched the battle in the stone room with their mouths agape. Ever since he had known Long Chen, the surprises that Long Chen had brought to Long Yan were endless. Every time he faced a situation of certain death, Long Chen would always be able to survive beyond Long Yan's expectations. And this time, he was facing the greatest enemy he had encountered in a long time, Long Yan. He didn't dare to make any wild guesses. He could only pray for Long Chen in his heart. An ordinary man is innocent, but treasuring a jade ring becomes a crime. If Long Chen did not go and fight for that azure jade spirit tree, presumably, there would also not be this scene. Long Chen did not hesitate as a majestic force burst forth from his body. A blazing flame flashed in his eyes as he charged toward Elder Qian at lightning speed. Long Chen's eyes were filled with a dazzling light. An energy ripple that could tear apart space directly exploded within the stone room. Under the surprised gazes of Long Yan's group, Long Chen exceeded everyone's expectations. He actually ignored the domain that the Scarlet Flame Old Man was about to form and rushed over in an instant. Arriving at Elder Qian's side, the 2 of them directly collided. Clang! An intimidating sound immediately reverberated as the 2 of them collided. At the same time, a wild and powerful Hong Meng aura spread out in a ripple-like shape. The elixirs on the surrounding stone walls immediately fell to the ground with a crash. Long Chen did not hesitate as he threw out another punch. At the same time, his body explosively retreated. At the same time, Elder Qian directly ignored the shock from before. Before Long Chen's body could be pushed away, Elder Qian took advantage of the opportunity. Immediately, a wild and violent Hong Meng aura gushed out and poured into Long Chen's body without any explanation. Due to the invasion of this energy, Long Chen directly lost the strength to throw out a punch. The moment this Hong Meng aura entered Long Chen's body, it turned into waves of Hong Meng aura that scattered in all directions. Immediately, it surged within Long Chen's body. Come. This energy did not directly cause any harm to Long Chen. However, it was after all an external energy. If it was not dealt with in time, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longchen focused his mind and first controlled the strange energy within his body. Only then did he have the mind to deal with Elder Qi-Yan. However, just as Longchen regained his focus, Elder Qi-Yan's fist was already in front of his eyes. Bang! Longchen forcefully took the full force of the punch. His body flew out and crashed into the stone wall at the edge of the stone room. In an instant, the elixirs on the stone wall were smashed into pieces. Even the towering stone wall was destroyed. Even the towering stone wall was shaken until some cracks appeared. When Long Yan and the rest saw this scene, they immediately panicked. They thought that Longchen would be completely passive under this attack. If this continued, as time passed, Longchen would definitely be in Elder Qi-Yan's pocket. However, what shocked everyone was that after Longchen fell from the stone wall, he did a beautiful carp flip in the span of a breath. The aura around his body fluctuated and he directly and steadily stood up. Oh! Elder Qi-Yan frowned when he saw that Longchen was still as good as new after his punch. He muttered, "Young man, your physique is a little strong." Longchen smiled slightly and said, "Thank you, Elder, for thinking so highly of me." Elder Qi-Yan laughed out loud and said, "Young man, given your talent, it is likely that your achievements will surpass mine if you are given another 10 years. However, no matter how great your talent is now and how many tricks you have up your sleeves, it is useless. What's the use? In my opinion, you're already a dead man." Before his voice fell, Elder Qi-Yan's body exploded with a dazzling green light. Under the stimulation of this light, Longchen immediately lost most of his strength. Obviously, Elder Qi-Yan was extremely anxious. He wanted to quickly finish off Longchen and take away the green jade spirit fruit on Longchen's body. "Looks like you have underestimated the Hongmeng Yuan Jie. Next, I will let you see what is called true strength." Elder Qi-Yan directly floated in mid-air. Green light floated around his body and surged up. Longchen understood that although he could use his physique to forcefully endure the previous battle, Elder Qi-Yan was about to use his true strength. Longchen definitely had no way to fight against him. After all, the difference in strength was too great. Yes. Moreover, if Longchen wanted to use the move that defeated Lei Qianhua, it was unlikely that he would succeed. The Elder Qi-Yan in front of him was obviously not as conceited as Lei Qianhua. The green light that was filled with powerful strength exploded in the stone room. It directly swept up waves of biting cold wind that slapped Longchen's body without any explanation. In an instant, Longchen was somewhat unable to withstand it. Chapter 1558. Run? Do you really think that you can escape? Elder Qi-Yan's arrogant and mocking laughter was emitted from within the green light. Longchen nodded and said, "That's right, we won't be able to escape. Since that is the case, why don't we fight to the death?" His voice had yet to fade when a green light flashed past. The enormous attacking force that was formed around the body of the Scarlet Flame Old Man penetrated through the air and rushed over with an endless amount of strength. This kind of lightning-like speed left very little time for Longchen to react. It seemed as though it would tear Longchen's entire body apart in the blink of an eye. "Goodbye." The light dimmed a little as a trace of savagery suddenly surfaced on Elder Qi-Yan's face. His gaze followed the light and he was actually a little shocked. This time, there was very little time left for Elder Qi-Yan to react. Before Elder Qi-Yan could figure out what had happened, a blooming golden lotus suddenly appeared in the air and immediately came into contact with the green brilliance around his body. Bang! The two violent forces collided with each other. Immediately, a huge air wave rippled within the stone room. As the ripple spread, the stone wall at the edge of the stone room suddenly collapsed. Long Yan and the rest were stunned when they saw this scene. For a moment, they did not know what to do next. Just as the four of them were reacting, a figure suddenly shot out from within the ruins. This figure was wrapped in a rich Hongmeng aura and immediately shot towards the outside. The explosion of this figure also opened up a large hole in the ruins. Immediately, waves of medicinal fragrance assaulted their nostrils. Long Yan and the rest knew that the elixirs in the stone room had likely been turned into ashes in this big battle. Bang! The figure that had shot out from the ruins earlier also experienced a period of rest before it came to a stop and floated in the air. Long Yan and the rest raised their heads and looked over. For a moment, their expressions were somewhat complicated. This figure was Elder Qian. In other words, Long Chen was still within the ruins. However, this wasn't enough to surprise Long Yan. What surprised Long Yan and the others was that Elder Qian had clearly suffered serious injuries. If he could injure Elder Qian of Hongmeng Yuanjia, what would happen to Long Chen? At this time, Elder Qian, who was floating in the air, looked at the pile of ruins below, his expression full of shock. Then, Elder Qian wiped away the trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, and his body once again released a burst of vigorous energy. Hongmeng's aura immediately enveloped the pile of ruins below. Voila, the sound of rocks being moved was heard. Long Yan and the other three looked over and saw this scene. A frail-looking figure slowly crawled out from the ruins. His clothes were a little tattered, but his expression was filled with an intense energy. Long Yan's gaze landed on Long Chen's youthful face. Before he could say anything, they saw a golden lotus slowly rising behind Long Chen. It was constantly emitting starlight. Star Lotus God Array. Ever since Long Chen had skillfully combined the Golden Lotus God Slaughtering Array and the monstrous Starlight Array into one, this was the first time he had used it to deal with someone who was much stronger than him. In the stone room earlier, Long Chen had first used a Golden Lotus to attract Elder Qian's attention. Then, while Elder Qian was distracted, Long Chen forced out all the energy in his body and poured the monstrous starlight into the blossoming Golden Lotus. Just as the white-haired elder was about to close in on him, Long Chen finally finished this great array. Done. Within the Star Lotus, several rays of starlight suddenly bloomed, directly colliding with the Scarlet Flame Elder. It was also because of this that such a huge energy storm was set off in the stone room. What? What is this? Long Yan looked at the Golden Lotus that was emitting golden starlight and then looked at the solid barrier around Long Chen. He naturally felt a sense of envy. Long Yan had never imagined that Long Chen would have so many trump cards. Above the stone room that had turned into a pile of ruins, Long Chen was supporting the Star Lotus God Array. He stood upright on the Star Lotus and looked at Elder Qian, who was in mid-air, with a calm expression. I never thought that this would be your most powerful technique. Not bad. You did not disappoint my previous evaluation of you. Elder Qian's expression was very unsatisfied. In the previous exchange, he had not expected Long Chen to possess such a technique. Such a technique had really caused him to suffer a great loss. At this moment, Elder Qian had already suffered some injuries from the Star Lotus God Array. Elder Qian could naturally see that the power of Long Chen's array could not be viewed with normal eyes. This array seemed to have transcended the understanding of mortals, as if it only existed in legends. Young man, who exactly are you? A mere heavenly dragon tribe could not possibly have such a powerful technique. Elder Qian's gaze was deep, as if he was searching for something. Long Chen smiled and said, "It was a stroke of luck. I can only do so." Long Chen naturally would not tell Elder Qian about the origin of this array. After all, Long Chen was still unclear about Elder Qian's true strength. Furthermore, after the previous attack, Elder Qian had suffered another injury. What kind of injury did he suffer? However, when Long Yan heard this, he started to pay attention to Long Chen. Along the way, Long Yan had been constantly thinking. If Long Chen was really from the Black Dragon tribe, why was Long Chen's ability better than the Heavenly Dragon tribes? More importantly, why was Long Chen's name so special? Why did Long Chen address Long Chen as master and not anything else? All of this made Long Yan feel very depressed. Upon hearing Long Chen's words, Elder Qian's eyes flashed coldly. Although his mind power had already locked down the area around Long Chen, Elder Qian knew that it was not impossible to defeat Long Chen successfully. Before Long Chen's formation, Xiao Chen would definitely have to expend a lot of effort. There might be more than one green jade spirit tree in this underground palace. As he thought of this, Elder Qian's expression became somewhat gloomy. Obviously, when Elder Qian saw Long Chen's trump card, his previous thoughts gradually faded away. Chapter 1559. Long Chen did not respond. From Long Chen's point of view, since Elder Qian had made such a concession, it was obvious that his Star Lotus Heavenly God Array had caused Elder Qian a great deal of injuries in the previous battle. Thus, Elder Qian was forced to retreat. However, Elder Qian still did not dare to attack Long Chen, who was one realm higher than him. Seeing that Long Chen did not speak, Elder Qian continued, "Young man, believe me. The green jade spirit fruit is not something that you, a Hongmeng consolidation realm, can protect. Especially in this underground palace, where danger lurks at every step. Do you really think you can do whatever you want with this formation?" Long Chen was really noisy, and his expression was unhappy. He replied coldly, "What? You're threatening me now that you can't use force? Since I dared to take it, I naturally have the confidence to do so. Also, I haven't handed over anything that I've taken. That's the reason." Long Chen's gaze moved, and the formation suddenly increased in size. "You don't know what's good for you." Hearing Long Chen's words, Elder Qian was immediately flustered and exasperated. Originally, Elder Qian thought that by relying on his previous persuasion, he would be able to persuade Long Chen. However, Elder Qian never expected Long Chen to be so resolute. His attitude would be so resolute. "Good. Young man, if you have the ability, escape from this underground palace in these few days, and then don't let me see you again in this lifetime. If so, I swear on my Qian tribe that when we meet again, either you or I will die." Elder Qian was also helpless. However, he was currently seriously injured, and naturally did not dare to take risks. Perhaps there would still be a chance if he thought about it at length. As soon as he finished speaking, Elder Qian's figure flashed and quickly left towards the other side of the underground palace. Looking at Elder Qian's departure, Long Yan and the others were once again shocked. Long Chen actually forced Elder Qian to retreat. Just like the miracle that Long Chen had brought to Long Yan and the others, this time, it was undoubtedly an even greater miracle. Who was Elder Qian? He was the leader of a large tribe, the Qian tribe. He had the strength of the Hongmeng Yuan Jie. However, a figure like Elder Qian had no choice but to retreat under Long Chen's coercion. Long Yan really couldn't understand what had happened in the collapsed stone chamber. After Elder Qian left, Long Yan and the others quickly gathered around Long Chen. They wanted to know what had happened to Long Chen, who had forced Elder Qian to leave. Long Chen also released his consciousness. After confirming that Elder Qian had left, he retracted the Star Lotus Heavenly God Array. Long Chen had already exhausted all of his energy after using the array for such a long time. In fact, when he was talking to Elder Qian, Long Chen was already on the verge of collapsing. After retracting the array, Long Chen was completely defeated by the weakness in his body. Fortunately, Long Yan and the others rushed over in time. Otherwise, Long Chen would have collapsed in the ruins. Looking at the collapsed Long Chen, the four of them hurriedly supported him to the side to rest for a while. Only then did Long Chen recover. Long Chen's voice became extremely weak. He looked at Long Yan and the others and slowly said, "We can't stay here for long. Quickly go and collect the elixirs in the ruins. I will be able to rest soon. We must leave as soon as possible." After confirming that Long Chen was fine, Long Yan and the others obeyed Long Chen's words and hurriedly went to the ruins of the stone chamber to collect the elixirs. Long Yuan stayed behind. Looking at the weak Long Chen, he asked, "Master, will Elder Qian give up?" Long Chen let out a long sigh and said, "Actually, this is nothing. Even if he doesn't want to give up, I have a way to deal with him. However, the more important thing right now is to investigate the most important place in the underground palace. Perhaps there will be an opportunity. Perhaps we can find something more precious than the green jade spirit fruit." Looking at Long Chen's understatement, Long Yuan smiled. He understood that since Longchen said so, Longchen naturally had a way. Otherwise, with Longchen's strength at the first level of the consolidation realm, he could force the Hongmeng Yuan realm to retreat. Elder Qian at the consolidation realm. This was Longchen's strength. After a while, Long Yan and the other two rummaged through the ruins and finally collected enough elixirs. Since this is the case, let's go. In this underground palace, there may be more than one stone chamber like this. Let's search again. Perhaps there are other fortuitous encounters in this underground palace. Since we came in together, I can't possibly monopolize everything. Longchen stood up and slowly said. Ha! Long Yin chuckled and said, Brother Longchen, what are you saying? We all came in together. Besides, you're clearly the one who put in the most effort. Of course, you should get more benefits. Alright, let's not talk about this for now. As I said before, let's go. After he finished speaking, Longchen led the 4 people forward again. The 5 of them walked through the complicated underground palace. Along the way, they also encountered natural stone chambers like the one from before. Although there were elixirs growing in them, they were not as abundant as the one from before. Longchen did not need them. Therefore, he gave them all to Long Yan and the other 2. Longchen thought that if he could successfully refine the green jade spirit fruit, the rewards he would receive would definitely be greater than the elixirs in these 10 stone chambers. Moreover, in Longchen's opinion, with this green jade spirit fruit, his strength would definitely increase by leaps and bounds. At that time, Longchen was confident that even if he did not use the Star Lotus Heavenly God formation, he would still be able to fight against Elder Qian. The premise was that Elder Qian did not use his domain. In Longchen's opinion, the domain that Elder Qian used was really too difficult to deal with. This technique that was exclusive to the primordial realm had indeed caught Longchen off guard. If he hadn't relied on the Star Lotus Heavenly God array to catch his opponent off guard, he would have been enveloped by Elder Qian's domain. Otherwise, the outcome of this battle would have been different. Yes. Shuttling through this huge underground palace, Longchen cleverly avoided several dangers that he would have encountered with others. After an hour, Long Yan and the other 3 had a bountiful harvest. Just by looking at the elixirs, they could tell that this trip was very profitable. Chapter 1560. Longchen felt that this underground palace was really magical. Everything here was naturally formed without a trace of artificial traces. It was also because of this reason that when the naturally formed things were extremely similar to the man-made things, people couldn't help but be shocked. Looking at this majestic stone palace, Longchen's eyes gradually emitted a burst of heat. Perhaps, in this stone palace, there would be clues to the soul awakening grass that had attracted so many empires. Only the soul awakening grass had such great magical powers that it could attract so many people to this place. Even Long Mu showed an attitude of wanting to chase after the soul awakening grass, let alone other people. Longchen, should we go in? Long Yan was stunned for a long time before he finally asked. Longchen nodded and said, Of course we should go in. However, what we know is that before us, there is a high possibility that someone has already entered this stone palace. Everyone, get ready. The 5 of them prepared together and walked around the stone palace. After a while, they found the entrance of the stone palace. The entrance of the stone palace was obviously opened by someone. When Longchen saw it, he knew that his previous guess was not wrong. It seemed like someone had already entered the stone palace before them. Let's go in. Longchen waved his hand and took the lead to enter the stone palace. The interior of the stone palace was very large. It was like a naturally formed stone cave. The only difference was that the interior of the stone cave was square and flat. In less than 2 breaths of time after entering the stone palace, Longchen looked around and saw that there were a few groups that were uniformly looking over and staring at the 5 of them. After carefully sizing them up, Longchen immediately recognized a few people. Bing Yuan from the Icy Ice tribe, Lei Qianhua from the Lightning tribe, Qian Elder from the Qian tribe, some people from the Green Jade tribe and 2 groups that Longchen did not recognize. At this moment, the Qian tribe and the other 4 tribes were standing in a confrontation in the stone palace. The expressions of both sides were tit for tat and there was not the slightest hint of dejection. However, the appearance of Long Chen and the others interrupted this confrontation. Confrontation. Long Chen pondered for a while and roughly understood some of the principles. According to Long Chen's original information, the Scarlet Flame tribe should have monopolized one of the entrances to the underground palace. Although he didn't know what happened after that, Long Chen, the Icy Cold tribe, and the Rushing Thunder tribe still entered from the other entrance. For his new entrance, the other tribes must have worked together to defeat the guards of the Red Flame tribe. Only then could they successfully enter the underground palace. Elder Qian also understood this principle. At this moment, perhaps Elder Qian was interrogating the people guarding the entrance of the Qian tribe. When Bing Yuan and Lei Qianhua saw Long Chen's group, they were extremely surprised. Perhaps they thought that the Heavenly Dragon tribe with only 5 people had already been killed by the demonic beasts guarding the underground palace. When Elder Qian saw Long Chen, an uncontrollable anger appeared on his face. Indeed, facing the person who forced him to leave, Elder Qian's anger was justified. Long Chen smiled and looked at Elder Qian. He also felt Elder Qian's anger. However, Elder Qian's anger obviously didn't have any effect on Long Chen. Long Chen saw that in the current situation, it would be very difficult for Elder Qian to deal with the others, not to mention the one who gave him a headache before. It was already too late. As for Elder Qian's threat to Long Chen didn't worry at all. After all, Long Chen's people wouldn't say that Long Chen had the green jade spiritual fruit. As for Elder Qian, Long Chen believed that Elder Qian the elders wouldn't say anything either. Currently, in the Stone Temple, there were still many people who could rival Elder Qian. If Elder Qian were to spread this news, he would have one more hidden competitor. Long Chen carefully observed everything in the Stone Palace. Gradually, the Dragon Chariot discovered that behind the Red Flame tribe's team, there was a formation on the stone wall. In other words, there was something behind the stone wall. After discovering this, Long Chen completely understood the situation in the Stone Palace. It was very likely that the Red Flame tribe's people discovered this formation first, but they couldn't do anything about it. They could only wait for the formation to fade away, just like outside the underground palace, and then take the opportunity to enter. However, that was it. At this time, the other tribes came to the Stone Palace through some unknown method. They also discovered the secret of the formation and waited here. This time, the Red Flame tribe probably wanted to take the formation for themselves, just like how they controlled the entrance to the underground palace. However, as more and more tribes entered, it became harder and harder for the Red Flame tribe to achieve their goal of monopolizing the formation. Bing Yuan and Lei Qianhua didn't show much emotion when they saw Long Chen. After all, to them, Long Chen was just an insignificant character. However, to Elder Qian, Long Chen's appearance was different. "Oh, I was wondering who it was. So it's the person who snatched the treasure from my hands." Elder Qian shouted loudly. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone in the Stone Palace focused their attention on Long Chen. Obviously, Elder Qian's action was to draw the attention of the other tribes to Long Chen, so that his Red Flame tribe could gather more strength. His tribe could accumulate strength as much as possible. However, Elder Qian regretted his words the moment they left his mouth. Just as Long Chen thought, these words undoubtedly exposed the fact that Long Chen had treasures on him. Originally, Elder Qian was still thinking. When the matter in the Stone Palace was over, he would go find Long Chen and take back the green jade spirit fruit. But now, all these plans were obviously not going according to Elder Qian's plan. The other tribes all opened their minds to check Long Chen's strength. Soon, they withdrew their minds with disdain. From the surface, if a Hong Meng Consolidation Realm person could snatch the treasure from the Red Flame tribe, if Elder Qian managed to snatch something from his hands, that would really be a miracle. Chapter 1561. Brother Lei, what do you think of this matter? Bing Yuan smiled and asked Lei Qianhua. Lei Qianhua looked in Long Chen's direction and frowned slightly. Since Elder Qian has said so, and thinking about that brat's courage and strength, I reckon that this matter is most likely true. However, the most important thing right now is that Elder Qian's strength and courage. However, the most important thing right now is to wait for the formation on the stone wall to be activated. Perhaps there will be an even more fascinating treasure behind this formation. Bing Yuan nodded and said, "That's exactly what I was thinking." Even though the Crimson Flame tribe is holding them back, there are so many large tribes gathered here. Especially the members of the Green Jade tribe. I presume the Crimson Flame tribe wouldn't dare to act too arrogantly. After all, the only person from the Qian tribe who can fight is that elder. The rest of the people are just a group of juniors. Although they said so, Bing Yuan and Lei Qianhua looked at Long Chen with murderous eyes. They understood that if Long Chen was willing to risk his life to snatch something from Elder Qian's hands, then this treasure must be extraordinary. Fan Xiang. However, they also had to consider another stone chamber. Long Chen was not an ordinary person. If Long Chen was an ordinary Hongmeng Consolidation Realm Level 1, then whether it was Lei Qianhua or Bing Yuan, they could easily crush Long Chen to pieces and obtain the treasure in Long Chen's hands. However, the crux of the problem was that, therefore, Long Chen's strength was truly unpredictable. The two of them did not dare to rashly probe the means that he possessed. They might even be the ones who would be crushed in the end. In fact, Bing Yuan and Lei Qianhua were not the only ones who had such thoughts. Elder Qian's thoughts were exactly the same as theirs. Under normal circumstances, even if Long Chen was protected by the mysterious and powerful formation, as long as Elder Qian dared to go all out, it would not be difficult to defeat Long Chen. However, under the current circumstances, Elder Qian had to be careful. In this trip to the underground palace, there weren't many people from the Scarlet Flame tribe. Many of them were left behind by the Scarlet Flame Elder to guard the entrance. Although he didn't know if these people in front of him came in through the entrance that his tribe was guarding, since they came in, they came in. So, he had no choice but to give up. Currently, the most important thing for Elder Qian was to protect this formation. Once the formation disappeared, the Qian tribe would be the first to enter and increase their chances of obtaining an opportunity. Therefore, it wasn't that Elder Qian didn't want to look for Long Chen, but that he didn't have the heart to do it. Although Elder Qian was furious when he saw Long Chen's fearless demeanor, he could only endure it. As long as Elder Qian was able to get past this hurdle, he wouldn't let anyone off. After such a long time, the gazes of the people in the stone hall gradually retreated from Long Chen's body. To them, the most important thing was the formation on the stone wall. Now, everyone's gazes were focused on the stone wall that the Scarlet Flame tribe was guarding. Waves of Hongmeng ripples appeared on the stone wall and it really affected the minds of many people. Long Chen was also sizing up this formation. This formation was mostly the same as the one outside the underground palace. First of all, the formation here was naturally formed and there wasn't a trace of human intervention. Yet, it was able to form such a powerful formation. This place was simply too miraculous. Everyone, I presume that everyone is here for the treasures in this underground palace. As for whether or not the Soul Awakened grass is here, I'm not sure. This underground palace is so huge, why don't you all go to other places to explore? As for this stone hall, why don't you leave it to my Scarlet Flame tribe to guard? Since this is the case, my Scarlet Flame tribe is very willing to make friends with everyone here. Elder Qian finally felt his scalp tingle as he felt the pressure from all sides. As soon as he finished speaking, the people from the various tribes looked at each other for a while. Then, there were some roars of laughter. After a while, someone from the Green Jade tribe, who had been silent all this time, finally responded. Elder Qian, aren't your words a bit too childish? This underground palace doesn't belong to your Qian tribe, so why do you need to direct us to where to go? Moreover, even a fool can see that there is something behind this stone wall right now. Just based on a sentence, you want us to surrender? This is really ridiculous. Long Chen looked at the person who spoke. Just based on his tone, Longchen concluded that this person's strength was most likely the same as Elder Qian, a Hongmeng Yuan Jie. Otherwise, he wouldn't have such confidence. The Green Jade tribe was a slightly famous large tribe in the polar regions of Hongmeng. Therefore, the leader of the Green Jade tribe was probably not an ordinary person. Currently, the Scarlet Flame tribe occupied nearly 30% of the people in the Stone Hall. Although there were many people from the other tribes, they all had their own thoughts. Elder Qian looked at this scene and was immediately enraged. "You Tianming, there are some things that I have to say. Outside the underground palace, you already had an opinion of my Scarlet Flame tribe. Now, I want to know, how did you enter this underground palace?" The person called you Tianming smiled and said, "Without an old monster like you blocking the way, if I wanted to enter, do you really think that your simple formation could stop me? You Tianming. Wait until the matter of the small spiritual world is settled. My Scarlet Flame tribe will definitely fight with your Green Jade tribe to the end." When Elder Qian heard this, his expression became even more furious. "Just come. I want to see if the Scarlet Flame tribe, which can only barely become a large tribe by relying on you, still dares to dream of becoming enemies with my Green Jade tribe. What a joke. Today, your Scarlet Flame tribe better quickly give up this stone wall. Otherwise, you will have to admit the consequences." Yu Tianming didn't give in at all. His expression was also righteous. The moment he finished speaking, the atmosphere in the stone hall suddenly became tense. With Yu Tianming taking the lead, the other tribes in the stone hall immediately followed suit. Obviously, as long as there was a leader, the others were very willing to contribute to this matter. After all, the benefits that could be obtained from this were unpredictable. What was behind the stone wall? This was what everyone was most curious about. Chapter 1562. Rumble. Following the trembling of the stone wall, the entire stone hall began to vibrate slowly. The array that was originally protecting the stone wall suddenly emitted waves of intense Hongmeng energy waves. The most frightening thing was that the intense energy waves were even more intense than the energy waves from the Hongmeng Yuan Jie. This sudden turn of events caused everyone present to involuntarily suck in a breath of cold air. Before the crowd could react, they saw the sound of something breaking through the air suddenly being emitted from the stone wall. One could only hear a bang sound. Dozens of Hongmeng demonic beasts suddenly appeared from within the stone wall. The strength of these Hongmeng demonic beasts was obviously equivalent to the strength of the Hongmeng Yuan Jie. In other words, it was equivalent to dozens of Hongmeng Yuan Jie experts appearing all of a sudden. One must know that there were only 5 Hongmeng Yuan Jie experts in the stone hall. Retreat. Seeing this scene, Elder Qian immediately reminded the people from the Qian tribe who were closest to the stone wall. However, it was still too late. Not only Elder Qian, but everyone from the Icy Ice tribe and the Lightning tribe also retreated without hesitation. However, the development of events was always unexpected. Just as the people from the Lightning tribe were about to escape from the main hall, 2 huge Hongmeng demonic beasts suddenly leaped and blocked the path of the Lightning tribe. Now, everyone in the stone hall finally understood that these Hongmeng demonic beasts were the guardians of this underground palace. The reason why they did not appear in the underground palace was to gather everyone here and kill them all at once. Longchen was also prepared to fight. After all, he did not know when more Hongmeng demonic beasts would appear. Looking at the Hongmeng demonic beasts standing directly in front of the other tribes, Longchen frowned and was somewhat worried. Looking at the 2 Hongmeng demonic beasts blocking the entrance, Longchen also gave up on the idea of escaping. Obviously, these Hongmeng Yuan Jie demonic beasts were not inferior to ordinary people. They knew how to fight. They knew how to kill everyone in the stone hall. "Longchen, what should we do?" Long Yan's expression was very nervous. Long Yan had already learned the Blood Corp's secret technique to deal with the Hongmeng Yuan Jie demonic beasts when they entered the Luoxia Valley. However, it was only limited to 1 Hongmeng demonic beast. When dozens of Hongmeng demonic beasts appeared at the same time, When dozens of them appeared, the blood corpse secret technique would be completely useless. Longchen calmed his mind and said, if we can avoid them, then we should avoid them. If the demonic beasts rush towards us, then we should run to the side of those big tribes. I think in this case, they won't have the energy to complain to us. Also, it's best for us to split up. Otherwise, we will become the target of the demonic beasts. Long Yan understood that Long Chen's idea was correct. In this case, no one could protect themselves, let alone rely on others. If they blindly stood together with others, the next target of these Hongmeng demonic beasts might be them. The 5 of them split up, but they were not too far away from each other. After all, they could take care of each other. The 5 of them vigilantly watched the movements of the dozens of Hongmeng demonic beasts, afraid that they would become targets. The only exit of the stone hall was guarded by 2 Hongmeng demonic beasts. No one dared to provoke them. At this time, the stone hall had really become the hunting ground of these Hongmeng demonic beasts. Now, the experts of the Hongmeng Yuanjia in the stone hall did not hesitate. Each of them faced a demonic beast and fought fiercely. What surprised Longchen was the Ice Tribe. Bing Yuan led more than a dozen people from the Ice Tribe. They actually cast a strange array in the stone hall. Suddenly, a burst of cold Hongmeng Qi was released. It actually froze one of the Hongmeng demonic beasts. At this time, the tit-for-tat atmosphere in the stone hall suddenly disappeared. No matter which tribe they were from, they all stood together to resist the attacks of the Hongmeng demonic beasts. All kinds of mixed yuan technique were cast on the demonic beasts. Although the effect was not very big, there was strength in numbers. With more than 100 people against more than 10 Hongmeng demonic beasts, they always had a slight advantage. At this time, the thing that gave Longchen the most headache happened. After the 2 Hongmeng demonic beasts shook off some of the tribesmen, they directly rushed in his direction. They were unstoppable. Long Yan was very nervous. Long Yuan's hand that was holding the spear was trembling. All of you, back off. I will lure these demonic beasts away. Longchen shouted and rushed toward the demonic beasts. The dragon halberd appeared in his hand and golden light shone from his body. With Longchen's words, Long Yan felt a little relieved. After all, Long Yan also believed in Longchen's strength. Longchen suddenly jumped into the air. Before he could cast the 8th-division heavenly dragon art, the Hongmeng demonic beasts rushed toward him. Immediately, the demonic beasts in the air stirred up strong winds and directly slapped Longchen's body. Above. Longchen did not hesitate. A vigorous Hongmeng aura suddenly gathered on the dragon halberd. Although there was a huge difference in strength, Longchen believed that with just fighting methods, these Hongmeng demonic beasts were nothing to be afraid of. Roar! The Hongmeng demonic beasts roared and immediately set off waves of sound waves in the stone hall. The air exploded one after another and directly emitted violent Hongmeng ripples. These sound waves slapped Longchen's body. Longchen felt bursts of heart-wrenching pain. The difference in strength was too much. Fortunately, Longchen's physique was special. If the current Longchen was replaced by any other Hongmeng Heavenly Dragon Realm expert. If it was a Hongmeng Heavenly Dragon Realm expert, he would have been shaken to death by this strong wind. Kid, do you really intend to fight the Hongmeng demonic beasts head-on? Don't you think about whether you are a match for them. In the Dragon Palace, Long Mu's curses were immediately heard. Chapter 1563. After listening to Long Mu's words, Longchen narrowed his eyes and slowly looked at the stone wall from before. Longchen understood that what Long Mu said was most likely true. Longchen had also seen the fluctuations on the stone wall before, so he naturally understood it very well. Currently, in the stone hall, there was an uncontrollable chaos going on. Those large tribes that were previously incomparably powerful had all become outlaws in front of the demonic beasts of the Hongmeng Yuanjia. These demonic beasts of the Hongmeng Yuanjia were quite intelligent, so naturally, they would attack those who were stronger. As a result, the tribes that coveted the stone wall the most had become the most destitute tribes. It was also at this time that the people in these tribes were unable to divert their attention, and no one cared about the stone wall from before. Moreover, these Hongmeng Yuan Jie demonic beasts were obviously more powerful than everyone present. Long Chen estimated. If this continued, he was afraid that the people in the stone hall would become the prey of these demonic beasts. Seeing this, regardless of whether it was for himself or for everyone in the stone hall, Long Chen felt that he should do something. A burst of Hongmeng aura appeared around his body. Long Chen stood up and jumped. In just a few breaths, he had jumped to the front of the original stone wall. Looking at the stone wall that released more than 10 Hongmeng demonic beasts, Long Chen seized a moment and stared blankly. Gradually, Long Chen's brows furrowed. On this stone wall, there is actually a mural. This surprising discovery immediately aroused Long Chen's great curiosity. Long Chen took a few steps back, wanting to see the full picture of this mural. This was a mural depicting demonic beasts. Long Chen looked at it from beginning to end several times, and finally understood the story behind this mural. After roughly sorting it out, Long Chen finally had an outline of this mural in his heart. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, the birth of the Hongmeng polar region caused a huge collision. This was a small spiritual world that did not belong to the 9 great polar regions. When the small spiritual world was first born, all living things were in Hongmeng. Heaven and earth were chaotic, and there was no day or night, no sky or earth. After a long time, the chaotic Hongmeng in the small spiritual world gradually stabilized, and formed a world similar to the Hongmeng polar region. After an unknown number of years, relying on the unique conditions in the small spiritual world gradually bred countless rare spiritual herbs and demonic beasts. Because there was no human's presence, the demonic beasts here grew rapidly. In just a few thousand years, there were demonic beasts had successfully broken through the Hongmeng Tianjing, and thus obtained intelligence that did not belong to humans, and successfully took control of this region. The small spirit world became the ruler of the small spirit world. After unifying the small spiritual world, the ruler had the idea of ascending to the outside world and exploring the world outside the small spiritual world. Therefore, the ruler of the small spiritual world condensed the most powerful Hongmeng aura in the small spiritual world, and gradually built a large array according to his own exploration. After that, the Hongmeng Dao ancestor channeled his own power into this large array, forming an unstoppable Hongmeng storm. The storm tried to open a passage between the small spiritual world and the outside world. The result of this operation was naturally successful, but as a price, the ruler's strength also suffered indelible damage, and he had to recuperate in the small spiritual world and go into seclusion to heal his injuries. After the huge storm, the fate of the little spirit world became extremely unstable. Finally, after this instability continued for a period of time, it collided with another world. Thus, the little spirit world was able to connect with the other world. That was the Hongmeng polar region. After that, a large number of outsiders came in, and they directly turned the originally peaceful small spiritual world into a paradise. The outsiders wantonly bullied the demonic beasts in the small spiritual world, and wantonly plucked the spiritual herbs in the small spiritual world. Although the creatures in the small spiritual world's creatures resisted together, but it was to no avail. At that time, the ruler of the small spiritual world was already seriously injured and was no match for the outsiders. In fact, he had even become their prey. Looking at the small spiritual world that he had destroyed, the ruler regretted his actions, but there was nothing he could do. So many years passed, and the destruction of the small spiritual world became more and more severe. The ruler's injuries were still not completely healed, but at that time, the ruler of the small spiritual world finally found a turning point. A lonely outsider youth successfully attracted the ruler's attention. After a long discussion, the ruler and the youth reached an agreement to help each other. The ruler helped the youth complete his revenge plan, and the youth helped the ruler destroy the passage connecting the small spiritual world and the Hongmeng polar region. What happened next was what Long Chen heard from Yan Li. At that time, the youth lured the experts of the 10 large tribes into the small spiritual world and killed them all in one fell swoop. At the same time, he destroyed the passage connecting the small spiritual world and the Hongmeng polar region. As for what happened after that, the murals didn't clearly describe it. However, from the vague descriptions, Longchen could make a rough guess. In that battle, the ruler died, but the youth didn't die. Instead, he returned to the formation that the ruler had constructed with his heavily injured body. He wanted to go back. Although this was a violation of his agreement with the ruler, the youth was determined to be the one to break it. After all, the small spiritual world wasn't his home. The Hongmeng polar region was. The youth gathered all of his power into the formation in an attempt to reopen the path to the Hongmeng polar region. However, things didn't go as he wished. The youth's strength was still inferior to the ruler. Moreover, the ruler had borrowed the power of the small spiritual world in order to open the formation. The youth failed countless times, but he never gave up. Hard work paid off. After a long time, the youth successfully broke through the Hongmeng Tianjing polar region and became as powerful as the ruler. The youth gathered all of his power and reopened the formation, finally fulfilling his wish. After the huge storm, the small spiritual world was once again connected to the Hongmeng polar region. However, this time, the passage was extremely unstable. It would only reconnect every 1,200 years. No matter what, the youth's wish was fulfilled. As for where the youth went afterwards, Longchen didn't know. The murals didn't describe it. However, after understanding the situation, Longchen finally understood everything about the small spiritual world. Chapter 1564. Longchen saw a strange object at the end of the mural. It was a jade-shaped object. It was embedded in the stone wall, and under the support of the formation, it flashed a little golden light. Although he did not know the use of this jade-shaped object, Longchen had a faint feeling that as long as he got this jade-shaped object, Longchen could solve the current dilemma. Although Longchen thought so, there was still a trace of concern. Thinking of this, Longchen immediately waved the dragon halberd in his hand. A fierce Hongmeng aura directly pierced out, and immediately rushed towards the jade-shaped object. Boom! A huge impact sounded. Longchen was surprised to see that under his bombardment, the jade-shaped object that was embedded in the stone wall flew out at an incredible speed. At the same time, all the Hongmeng demonic beasts in the stone hall stopped fighting and cast their eyes over. I understand. This jade-shaped object was left behind by the ruler. It is the token that the ruler used to command the small spiritual world. This jade-shaped object will definitely be able to make the Hongmeng demonic beasts here bow down to it. In the Dragon Palace, Longmu could not wait to shout. Although the jade-shaped object flew out, it attracted the attention of all the Hongmeng demonic beasts. It also made everyone in the stone hall understand that this jade-shaped object was definitely not something simple. On the jade-shaped object, a golden light was faintly discernible, flashing some dazzling light in the stone hall. A strange wave faintly exploded, and everyone present was shocked. Spiritual treasure. This thought flashed through everyone's minds. Without the primordial demon beast's obstruction, almost everyone in the stone hall leaped up in just a breath's time. They did not seem to be in a disadvantageous position like before. Instead, they charged forward with an unstoppable momentum. Instead, they rushed towards the jade-shaped object in the air. Seeing this scene, Longchen could not help but coldly snort. He was the first to discover this piece of jade. How could he let these people take advantage of it? Before Longmu could speak, Longchen had already begun to move. In this stone hall, he was the person closest to this piece of jade. Naturally, he had the highest chance of obtaining this piece of jade. Longchen leaped into the air and caught the jade slit ring in midair while the others were still rushing forward. Young man, this time in front of everyone, this spiritual treasure is not something you can protect. The person who was slightly further away from this piece of jade than Longchen was Elder Qi Yan. Seeing that the piece of jade that was about to be in his hands was interrupted by Longchen, a sinister and ferocious expression immediately surfaced on Elder Qian's face. In Elder Qian's understanding, Long Chen only relied on a fierce formation method and great luck to achieve such a great achievement. In the previous battle, if Elder Qian had known about Long Chen's methods, he would have pulled back a little. He would have been able to completely destroy Long Chen with the use of his domain. However, Elder Qian completely did not expect that this time, Long Chen would be able to discover the spiritual treasure in this chaotic stone hall. Moreover, he once again relied on luck to obtain it. After listening to Elder Qian's words, Long Chen's expression did not change at all. In his opinion, although Elder Qian was a person from the Hongmeng Yuan Jia, if they really fought, Long Chen was not afraid. After all, he had his own manager. In the past, Long Chen could naturally ignore it. As for whether this action would make Elder Qian angry at him or not, Long Chen did not care about it at all. In any case, he had already provoked Elder Qian to the point that he did not have any good intentions towards him. It did not matter if he had a little more enmity. Holding the jade pendant tightly in his hand, Long Chen felt a violent energy fluctuation. As Long Chen activated the primal chaos golden codex around his body, he successfully held the jade pendant in his hand. A vigorous Hongmeng aura erupted. It shook off the experts from the tribes who were rushing over. Clang! Just as everyone was shocked, a strange formation fluctuation suddenly appeared on the stone wall. Before anyone could react, the formation on the stone wall connected with the jade pendant in Long Chen's hand. Dao! Long Chen was also a little panicked. Before Long Chen could calm his mind, a violent pulling force came and directly pulled Long Chen, who was holding the jade pendant, towards the stone wall. Although Long Chen tried his best to control his body, in the end, it was useless. The pulling force was too strong. It was not something that Long Chen could resist. When Long Chen's body was about to hit the stone wall, the formation on the stone wall suddenly burst out a huge light beam. In the light beam, a black hole appeared and directly sucked Long Chen into the hole. Seeing this entrance, Elder Qian and the others were anxious. Naturally, they increased their speed to the extreme. They all wanted to rush into the black hole after Long Chen. At this time, perhaps even a fool could see that this entrance was the exit of the stone hall. However, it was too late for these people. After Long Chen's body completely entered the black hole, the hole shrank at a speed visible to the naked eye. Before anyone could react, the hole was only the size of a fist. Just when everyone was disheartened and about to give up, a ray of light broke through the air and came from an unknown tribe in the stone hall. The speed of this ray of light was extremely fast. It actually dared to enter after Long Chen before the hole disappeared. Go! After the ray of light disappeared, the black hole completely disappeared. All the Hongmeng Yuan Jia experts who rushed over were at a loss as they looked at the thick stone wall. After that, as the formation on the stone wall disappeared, the dozens of Hongmeng demonic beasts in the stone hall seemed to have sensed something. They roared together for a while, and then one by one, they rushed towards the exit of the stone hall. Out! The demonic beasts retreated and the formation disappeared. All the experts present were at a loss. Bing Yuan stared blankly at this scene and could not help but shake his head. The jade pendant from before was obviously a key that connected the stone hall to the deeper space behind the stone hall. However, due to the obstruction of the Qian tribe, Bing Yuan missed this opportunity. Chapter 1565. The moment he entered the stone wall, Long Chen heard a rumbling sound in his mind. He completely blocked out his consciousness. This really shocked Long Chen, and he was afraid that something else would happen. But it was fine. The rumbling sound in Long Chen's head did not last for long. When Long Chen was able to see his surroundings clearly, the rumbling sound had disappeared. This was a relatively large stone chamber. It was different from the other stone chambers he had seen before. This stone chamber was obviously man-made. It didn't have the natural composition of the other stone chambers. The traces of man-made were very serious. The stone walls were filled with traces of forging. Longchen steadied himself and looked around the stone chamber. He found a figure in the middle of the stone chamber. This figure was in a cultivation posture. He sat cross-legged in the middle of the stone chamber, motionless. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared in front of him, Longchen naturally panicked. He didn't know who this figure was. However, although Longchen observed carefully, Longchen could clearly see that this figure was just a skeleton. After confirming this thought, Longchen boldly walked closer to the skeleton. Only then did he get a clear look. This skeleton, other than the flesh that had faded away with time, the other parts were well preserved. This person, could it be that young man? He can't be the ruler of the small spiritual world, right? Longchen couldn't help but feel puzzled. The mural in the stone chamber clearly described that the young man had left the small spiritual world. Moreover, the ruler of the small spiritual world was a demonic beast. So, who could this skeleton be? Before Longchen could solve his doubts, Longchen saw that in the hands of the skeleton, there was a jade slit ring that was exactly the same as the one in Longchen's hand. 2 jade slit rings. Looking at the 2 identical jade slit rings, Longchen's eyes suddenly blazed. Perhaps it was because of this jade slit ring that he could open the passage from the stone chamber to this space. Thinking of this, Longchen didn't hesitate. He directly stretched out his hand and grabbed the jade slit ring in the skeleton's hand. Be careful. Just as Longchen was about to make his move, a vigorous Hongmeng aura suddenly attacked Longchen from behind. Naturally, Longchen felt this aura. He immediately stopped what he was doing and quickly turned around. This barrier firmly blocked the Hongmeng aura. Bang! A strong sound reverberated in the stone chamber. A violent ripple of air swept out. Longchen struggled and immediately retreated a few steps back. When the wave of air dissipated, Longchen focused his mind and looked at the person who suddenly appeared behind him. However, the person in front of him. The woman was dressed in a black robe. She stood upright. From afar, she looked like a graceful lady. Her green hair flowed down like a waterfall, making her look especially enchanting. Looking at her face, it was naturally a face that matched her figure. Her small face was like a delicate flower, constantly attracting Longchen's gaze. She was the most beautiful woman that Longchen had seen in the past few hundred years. Little brother, you already have a jade slit ring. Can you give me this one? The woman chuckled. Then, she acted coquettishly towards Longchen. The woman's voice was crisp and soft. It made one unable to summon the courage to refuse. If it wasn't for the woman's previous sneak attack on Longchen and her powerful strength, Longchen might have fallen into the woman's trap. Longchen understood that the woman in front of him was not someone to be trifled with. To be able to enter the small spiritual world and follow him into this mysterious space, the woman's strength was most likely higher than Longchen's. Little sister, since you call me big brother, you should listen to your big brother. I found these 2 jade slit rings first. First come, first served. If you ask me to give them to you, I don't think I'll get anything out of it. Longchen said with a smile. At the same time, he held the jade slit ring tightly in his hand. When the woman heard this, she chuckled and said slowly, Aya, little brother, you're really annoying. I just wanted a jade slit ring. Not only did you not give it to me, you even ridiculed me. You really don't have the spirit of a gentleman. Just as the woman was speaking, Longchen released his mind to check the woman's strength. Unexpectedly, before Longchen's mind could reach her, the woman released a mind that was even stronger than Longchen's. Longchen's mind struck back. At this moment, Longchen naturally understood that the woman's strength was undoubtedly from the Hongmeng Yuan Jie. There are so many large tribes outside. I don't know which tribe you're from, little sister. The elder of the Scarlet Flame tribe covets the treasures here. Even if I give this jade slit ring to you, I'm sure you won't be able to protect it when you're outside. Longchen said tentatively. He wanted to know who was stronger between the woman and the elder of the Scarlet Flame tribe. The Scarlet Flame tribe? When the woman heard this, the corners of her mouth curved slightly. Her expression showed that she did not care. She continued, "Little brother, you don't have to test me like this. To tell you the truth, my strength is much higher than the elder of the Scarlet Flame tribe. You're much stronger than the Red Flame tribe's elder. Although I don't know how you managed to snatch the item from the Red Flame tribe's elder, even if you have a powerful trump card in front of me, it's just child's play." Longchen understood that since the woman dared to say this, it was very likely that she was stronger than the elder of the Scarlet Flame tribe. After all, to be able to follow him into this mysterious space in front of the elder of the Scarlet Flame tribe, the woman who said this was definitely not an ordinary person. "Alright then. Since I'm not your opponent, if I continue to fight with you, I'll be asking for trouble. You can have this jade slit ring." Longchen sighed and said helplessly. After saying this, the woman looked at Longchen with a different gaze. Obviously, she disdained men who were weaker than her. The woman did not reply. Instead, she picked out a ray of light from her palm and shot it towards the jade slit ring in the skeleton's hand. Boom! Chapter 1566. Clang! The brilliance was firmly blocked by the monstrous starlight array. This was only the beginning. The moment the Hongmeng woman retracted her aura, the monstrous starlight array suddenly condensed into a burst of dense and vigorous starlight. The Hongmeng charged straight at the woman. It left. When the woman saw the scene, her expression did not change much. Her figure rapidly retreated, and with a few steps, she dodged all of the starlight from the monstrous starlight array of Hongmeng. When this wave of starlight dissipated, the woman seized the opportunity to speak. However, she did not know that behind her beautiful body, there was actually a golden lotus that was slowly blooming. As if she felt the energy fluctuation from behind her, the woman turned around in shock, but found that it was too late. Rays of dazzling golden light were emitted from the golden lotus. Within the golden light, there was a vigorous Hongmeng aura, sharp and austere. The woman did not have time to react at all, and the vigorous Hongmeng aura bombarded her body. Suddenly, a violent collision exploded, and the woman's seemingly weak figure was directly slammed to the ground. This sudden turn of events was truly beyond the woman's expectations. After waiting for the power of the golden lotus to dissipate from her body, the woman slowly stood up. She looked at Longchen, who was not far away, with some anger. She gritted her teeth and said, "Little brother, you're so ruthless. However, this time, you relied on an unexpected sneak attack. Next time, you won't be so lucky." As her voice fell, the woman's figure leaped up. Immediately, the Hongmeng aura around her faintly fluctuated. In just a few breaths, an extremely strong Hongmeng array appeared around the woman's body. Obviously, the power of this woman's array looked a little more imposing than Longchen's monstrous starlight array. Then, the woman swung her arm in the air, and a purple Hongmeng lightning swept out from the array around her body. Above the purple lightning, there was an unstoppable force of Hongmeng. In just a short moment, the purple lightning was like a ghost. It followed a strange and unpredictable trajectory and rushed towards Longchen. Looking at the purple lightning, Longchen's heart was a little scared. If the great starlight array could not withstand the fierce attack of this lightning, Longchen would probably turn into a pile of ashes under the aura of this purple lightning. Longchen did not hesitate. He immediately circulated all the strength in his body and activated the 8-part heavenly dragon skill. In the short span of a breath, 8 golden dragons whizzed out and suddenly gathered in front of Longchen. Just as Longchen had predicted, under the peerless and tyrannical attack of the purple lightning, the monstrous starlight array was like a thin window that was pierced through in the span of a breath. Dong dong! The 8 golden dragons collided with the purple lightning. Suddenly, there was a burst of strong and vigorous Hongmeng waves at the intersection. With every exchange, the energy of the 8 golden dragons would be greatly depleted by the purple lightning. From the looks of it, the 8 golden dragons, who were originally full of energy, were about to be completely devoured. However, the fierce purple lightning was completely invisible and disappearing. The change was just like before, that fierce and austere. Longchen sighed inwardly. The woman was right. With her strength, she was indeed able to disregard the Scarlet Flame Elder. However, which tribe was this woman from? Why did he not see this woman in the stone hall before? The pressing battle situation did not allow Long Chen to ponder too much. The purple lightning's aura was shocking. Long Chen's 8 golden dragons were about to be pierced through by the purple lightning. Long Chen was also a little anxious. The monstrous starlight array that blocked the woman's attack did not even last a moment in front of the purple lightning. At this time, it would be difficult to use the array again. At this point, Long Chen was also ruthless. He immediately recalled the 8 golden dragons and added them to the dragon halberd in his hand. Long Chen wanted to resist the purple lightning by himself. Ding! The crisp sound of the collision staggered in the air. The huge Hongmeng waves also burst out at the intersection. Although he blocked the path of the purple lightning once again, Long Chen now had to spend more energy than before. Long Chen had to admit that the woman's strength was really too high. Just one purple lightning was enough to give Long Chen a splitting headache. If there were a few more of the same purple lightning, Long Chen would not be able to fight this battle. We can't waste any more time with her. Get rid of her as soon as possible. In the Dragon Palace, Long Mu reminded. Long Chen took a few deep breaths and seized the opportunity to reply, I also want to, but this woman is the Hongmeng Yuan Jie. If it were you, what could you do? Long Chen naturally understood Long Mu's meaning. This woman was very strong. If they continued to delay, they would probably lose their lives here. It seems that I have to use that move again. Long Chen thought to himself. Long Chen was thinking about the 8 heavenly dragon howl that he had combined the 2 cultivation methods. Thinking back, he had used this move to block the sandstorm before Xiaolang died. This move could be said to be Long Chen's most powerful move. Now that he was facing a strong opponent of unknown origin, Long Chen had no other way. Rise! Long Chen shouted coldly. 8 golden dragons on the dragon halberd rushed to the sky. Long Chen's whole body also went straight up into the air. In this stone room, waves of Hongmeng Qi rolled over and over. Suddenly, the entire stone room seemed to have turned into a sea of Qi waves. The 8 golden dragons shone brightly, illuminating the stone room as if it was daytime. The purple lightning from before immediately showed a trace of fatigue under the pressure of this huge Hongmeng Qi. Long Chen activated all the strength in his body. Suddenly, the aura of Hongmeng Qi gushed out like a tide and immediately filled the stone room. Seeing Long Chen create such a majestic aura, the woman was a little shocked. Chapter 1567. Not bad, your willpower is very good. Seeing that Long Chen did not pay any attention to her, the woman snorted coldly and looked at Long Chen with a different gaze. Then, the woman smiled, as if she had understood something. She quickly condensed the aura around her body. After a breath, a violent vibration of Hongmeng was poured into the purple lightning. The purple lightning changed its direction and went straight to Long Chen, who was in the air. Immortal thunder, I want to guide it. 10,000 Hongmeng, follow the immortal thunder. The woman shouted. Then, the magnetic lightning soul, which had never existed before, appeared above the purple lightning. It surrounded the purple lightning in circles. The vigorous aura of Hongmeng condensed around the purple lightning. In less than a breath's time, the purple lightning, which was originally as thick as the woman's forearm, had condensed to the thickness of the woman's waist. The huge Hongmeng aura was like a tidal wave, and it immediately surged around the purple lightning. The stone room was not big, and there was only so much Hongmeng aura in it. If 2 people were to use it at the same time, it would require a lot of Hongmeng aura. For a big move, the Hongmeng aura in the stone room was naturally not enough. If that was the case, it would depend on which side's moves were more ferocious. However, something that Long Chen did not expect happened. During the process of the immortal thunder forming, it actually sucked away all the Hongmeng aura that he was using on the 8-division heavenly dragon howl. This situation was really unexpected for Long Chen. The immortal thunder was about to form, and his 8-division heavenly dragon howl was not ready yet. The immortal thunder had successfully condensed. Then, without any hesitation, it directly shook the stone room and blasted a violent force toward Longchen. Shocking fluctuations spread out like a hurricane, and the walls of the stone room began to shake violently. If this magnificent immortal thunder struck Longchen's mountain, Longchen believed that he would have no chance of survival. This woman's move was somewhat similar to Lei Chanhua great Kiliakazam thunderous cry. However, in terms of strength, this woman's immortal thunder was indeed much more powerful than Lei Chanhua's move. The woman smiled faintly when she saw Longchen's calm and composed appearance. Clearly, in her eyes, Longchen was already a dead man. If it was any other time, the lady would have the time to spar with Longchen. However, she did not have the time to do so in this place. The jade ring in the stone room was something that she must obtain. She had to get rid of Longchen and obtain the jade ring. This was the woman's plan. If he didn't use his strongest move, who knew what would happen? The woman's eyes were gentle and bright, like the autumn water, gentle and elegant. In an instant, a roar came from the immortal thunder, and a strong wind blew in all directions in the stone room. Little brother, since you still want to resist, don't blame me for being merciless. The woman pouted coquettishly, and then her hands suddenly fluttered. The immortal thunder bombarded Longchen's 8th Division Heavenly Dragon's howl because the immortal thunder had absorbed most of its energy, so it was unable to withstand a single blow. Long Mu. Quickly think of a way. I'm in trouble today. If things don't go well, we'll all die here. Longchen shouted loudly. Long Mu was also anxious. With Longchen's strength at the first stage of the chaotic prime realm in Hongmeng, it was impossible for him to resist this kind of fierce attack. We have to think of another way. Do you still remember that jade pendant? It was the power of that jade pendant that opened the passage. Yes. Longchen, that jade pendant. After listening to Long Gong's words, Longchen looked at the jade pendant that was still in the skeleton's hand. Back then, it was because Longchen had obtained the jade pendant that was embedded in the stone wall of the stone hall that the passage was opened. Now, perhaps this was the only way to save himself. At this point, if he was reluctant to part with the treasure, even if he obtained it, he would not be able to enjoy it. Longchen looked at the jade pendant in his hand, and the passion in his eyes gradually subsided. Then, Longchen threw the jade pendant in his hand at the woman below. Don't you want it? Here you go. Longchen shouted. When the woman saw this scene, she was naturally overjoyed. She immediately leaped up and tightly grabbed the piece of jade that had fallen down. Ah! The moment the woman grabbed the jade pendant, a magnificent and majestic wave of Hongmeng surged out and lifted the woman into the air. The violent wave of air directly surged in the stone room, like a burst of apocalyptic gas, and firmly wrapped the woman in the stone room. Boom! A hurricane came. Longchen was surprised to see that there were bursts of brilliance around the woman's body. Longchen had seen this kind of brilliance before. When they entered the stone hall, it was this kind of brilliance that opened the passage. Now, it was the same. In other words, after the jade pendant was reactivated, the passage would be opened again. The current situation was that the woman who didn't want to go out was instead trapped in the passageway. At this time, the unparalleled immortal thunder faded away as it lost the woman's guidance. In just a few breaths, the immortal thunder gradually disappeared. It seems that it really works. Longchen said in surprise. Long Mu nodded and said, it seems that the strength of the person who made these 2 jade pendants must be far above the Hongmeng Yuan Jie. To be able to pull this woman into the passage by force, this is not a simple thing. You framed me. In the passage, the struggling woman shouted at Longchen. Looking at the scene, Longchen smiled and said, little girl, this is the jade pendant you accepted. Now that I'm sending you out, you're blaming me. I'm really wronged. While they were talking, the passage was completely opened, and the space in the stone room fluctuated a little. Then, Longchen saw the woman's figure gradually disappear in the passage. After struggling for a while, the woman helplessly looked at Long Chen and said, "You seem to be called Long Chen? Not bad. This time, I let you take advantage of me. I'm going out. You take care of yourself here. Also, bring up the topic. Also, let me remind you, that corpse is not something simple. If you can avoid touching it, it's best not to." Before the woman could finish speaking, the power in the passage dragged her out completely. Chapter 1568. Long Chen looked at the beautiful figure that had completely disappeared into the passageway and recalled the mighty immortal lightning from before. He let out a long sigh of relief that he had been suppressing for a long time. He could finally relax. What kind of move was that? My monstrous starlight formation couldn't even withstand a single blow. Long Chen muttered to himself. When Long Chen recalled the monstrous starlight formation that was penetrated by the immortal thunderbolt as if it was nothing, a shadow was left in his heart. If the monstrous starlight formation had such an ability in the future, Long Chen would not dare to use it again. Although Long Chen had obtained victory in the battle by a fluke, Long Chen knew that the disparity between him and that woman was simply too enormous. What was the origin of the woman named Zhou Xiao? Seeing how she was so dismissive of those large tribes, could it be that her origin was more powerful than those large tribes? She must have experienced it before. Zhou Xiao would bear a grudge against Long Chen for this incident. With her strength, although she spoke and behaved in a gentle manner, Long Chen understood that the more a woman was like this, the more likely she was to bear a grudge. This time, he used this method to defeat her. If he were to meet her again in the future, he didn't know what kind of misfortune would await him. After pondering for a while, Long Chen could not help but smile bitterly. He suddenly felt that his worries were groundless. The small spiritual world was so huge that it was a problem whether he could meet her in the future. Yet, he was still thinking about what would happen if he met her. He was really overthinking. No matter what, the biggest winner now was Long Chen. Long Chen was the only one left in this mysterious space. Although he had used a piece of jade to force Zhou Xiao away, there was still another piece in the hands of the skeleton in the stone room. Long Chen walked to the side of the skeleton. He felt that something was wrong, as if there was someone watching him in the stone room. However, Long Chen did not think too much about it. He smoothly took the jade from the skeleton's hand. Looking at the jade slit ring that was exactly the same as the one before, Long Chen smiled slightly. The ability of this jade pendant was beyond Long Chen's imagination. It was able to force a Hongmeng Yuan Jia expert to enter the passage. Moreover, this jade pendant also had the ability to command the Hongmeng demonic beasts in the Sunset Valley. He wondered what this jade pendant would do to the small spirit world. Would the other demonic beasts be of any use? However, when he thought of this, Long Chen frowned and said, "Since that woman called Zhou Xiao left with the jade ring, will she return?" In the Dragon Palace, Long Mu laughed and said, "Don't worry, it won't happen." "Why do you say that?" Long Chen was confused. Long Mu said, "If she could come in, I'm afraid she would have come in long ago. Why would she wait for so long? What's more, we only know that this jade pendant can open the passage. Do you know how to use it to open the passage?" This. Long Chen paused for a moment. Indeed, the jade pendant had inadvertently opened the passageway twice. If Long Chen were to use the jade pendant to open the passageway now, he really would not know where to start. That's why I reckon that woman is at her wit's end. However, since she has obtained a piece of jade, even if she really knows how to use it, I reckon she won't take the risk to come in here. I don't know if you feel it, but this stone, I always feel that there is a strange energy in this stone room. Long Mu said with a little worry. Long Chen nodded and said, "Indeed, but this energy is looming. I don't know if it exists or not. I guess it's because of the formation in this stone room. It can't be because of the skeleton in front of us." Ha! Long Mu laughed. Long Chen was a little helpless. He shook his head and said, "Then what should we do now? Should we find a way to get out?" Long Mu said in shock, "Do you want to die?" Not to mention other things, in the stone hall now, I guess those people from the large tribes are waiting for you there. And the woman from before is very likely to be there too. They must have found out that you have obtained a treasure. What kind of insufferably arrogant spiritual treasure did you get here? Also, why is there no news of the soul awakened grass even though we're already here? Hearing this, Long Chen came to a realization. It turned out that Long Mu was still thinking about the news of the soul awakened grass. But after Long Mu said this, Long Chen also felt that something was wrong. It was reasonable to say that this underground palace was the most secretive place in the Sunset Valley, and the stone hall in the underground palace was the most mysterious place in the underground palace. Why was it that the two of them had come here, but there was still no trace of the soul awakening grass? Long Mu, do you think that we are in the wrong place? Long Chen said slowly. Long Mu had some doubts and said, tell me about it. It's like this. The news of the soul awakening grass spread as early as 10 days ago. At that time, the news only said that someone found the soul awakening grass in the Sunset Valley, but it didn't say where the soul awakening grass was. Also, this underground palace was clearly discovered when all the tribes entered the Sunset Valley, so the location of the soul awakening grass can't be here. Also, according to what you said before, the soul awakening grass is extremely rare. Of course, there is a possibility that the soul awakening grass that was discovered is the last one. This is the last one, Long Chen analyzed. Hearing Long Chen's analysis, Long Mu's expression was a little depressed. After all, this was his last hope of rebirth. Well, don't be sad. After I get out, I will definitely turn the Sunset Valley upside down and help you find the soul awakening grass. Long Chen said with a smile. I hope so. Long Mu let out a long sigh. Long Chen frowned and said, then tell me, what should I do now? Long Mu snorted and said, is your brain not working well after seeing a woman? Did you forget that you just got the green jade spirit fruit? If you refine it, won't your strength improve by leaps and bounds? Moreover, isn't this stone room an excellent place? If your strength improves a little, I will teach you a consolidation technique suitable for Hong Meng's consolidation realm. At that time, when you face Elder Qian, Lei Qianhua, and the others, you will have a little more chance of winning. Okay. After hearing Long Mu's words, Long Chen's eyes lit up. Indeed, after these things happened one after another, he suddenly forgot about the green jade spirit fruit that he risked his life to get. Now, if he refined the green jade spirit fruit, how would his strength improve? Chapter 1569. The green jade spiritual fruit emitted a starlight golden glow in the air, and a strong spiritual aura spread out, immediately filling the stone room. Long Chen operated the Hong Meng aura around his body, and directly enveloped the green jade spiritual fruit in front of him. The green jade spiritual fruit is a divine item from the ancient times. It seems that only a few of them were born at the beginning of the vast thousand worlds. I didn't expect that you would encounter it here, and that you would be able to successfully obtain it. Long Chen, you're really lucky. Long Mu said somewhat enviously. Long Chen did not respond. He was now wholeheartedly controlling the aura around his body. During this process, he could listen to Long Mu's words, but if he was asked to do something else, it would be impossible. Long Mu also seemed to know this, so he reminded Long Chen, this green jade spiritual fruit probably contains a huge amount of energy. You should know that the green jade spiritual tree has already given birth to spiritual intelligence. But fortunately, with your abnormal physique, you can probably withstand this kind of energy. You should be able to deal with this violent energy. I will protect you. If you can't handle it, call me at any time. This stone room belonged to a mysterious space in the underground palace. It was indeed an excellent choice for Long Chen to refine the green jade spiritual fruit here. As long as Zhou Xiaoxiao, who had the jade, did not come, then there would be no one here. However, although it was like this, Long Chen still divided a bit of his attention to surround the stone room. After all, the refining process needed to be absolutely safe. If something went wrong, it was very likely that he would suffer from qi deviation. Everything was ready. Long Chen slowly released the energy around his body. The green jade spiritual fruit, which was enveloped by his Hongmeng aura, seemed to have sensed Long Chen's action, and actually emitted a trace of resistance. Long Chen was also prepared for this change. He immediately suppressed it with a force, and directly supported the green jade spiritual fruit. With his strong physique, Long Chen had not been afraid of anything for so many years. The meridians around his body were completely connected, and he only needed to wait for the energy of the green jade spiritual fruit to be transferred into his body. This was the first step of refining and absorbing. Long Chen divided his attention, and with his mind, he converged a whirlpool above the green jade spiritual fruit. Then, the whirlpool gradually released energy, and surrounded the green jade spiritual fruit, and began to slowly absorb it. Suddenly, as the first wisp of energy from the green jade spiritual fruit entered his body, Long Chen's meridians suddenly felt a sense of pressure. This energy was far too powerful. Even with his overbearing physique, Long Chen had difficulty suppressing it. But fortunately, although it was difficult to suppress it. At this moment, Long Chen no longer dared to divert any of his attention. He had to focus all his attention on the green jade spirit fruit before him. He couldn't afford to be distracted. The whirlpool gradually stabilized. Although the act of extracting energy from the green jade spiritual fruit was resisted by the green jade spiritual fruit, the whole process was still considered smooth. As the absorption progressed, Long Chen was surprised to find that the wisp of energy that he had refined and absorbed into his meridians, which was enough to make his meridians unable to suppress it, was actually an extremely insignificant amount of energy from the green jade spiritual fruit. If this was the case, without 10 days to half a month, Long Chen would most likely not be able to complete this process. The energy from the green jade spiritual fruit slowly converged into Long Chen's meridians. Long Chen's entire body also became stronger with the influx of this energy. The green jade spiritual fruit had the effect of improving one's physique. Long Chen's previous physique was already extremely strong, and now, with the green jade spiritual fruit, it would be much stronger. Originally, Long Chen's meridians were full of Hongmeng's aura left behind when he was refining the mixed yuan qi. Now, with the influx of the energy from the green jade spiritual fruit, his meridians gradually became clear. The lingering Hongmeng aura slowly melted and became a gentle torrent of spiritual power, constantly nourishing Long Chen's body. At this time, the changes in Long Chen's body were as if heaven and earth were born. In the unique aura of the green jade spiritual fruit, the Hongmeng qi in Long Chen's body gradually condensed. With the introduction of these forces, Long Chen also faintly felt that his strength was also beginning to rapidly increase along with this process. At this time, Long Chen had gradually understood that he had touched upon Hongmeng's consolidation realm level 1. According to this calculation, Long Chen felt that if he completely refined the energy of the green jade spiritual fruit, his realm was very likely to break through to Hongmeng's consolidation realm level 5 in one go. Level 1. However, if he really wanted to reach this level, he still needed to wait patiently and continuously persevere. After all, in this process, if he was not careful, it was very likely that he would lose the whole game. Long Mu estimated that if Long Chen absorbed all the energy in the green jade spiritual fruit, then Long Chen would be in an invincible position when fighting against those Hongmeng Yuan Jia experts. Inadvertently, the skeleton next to Long Chen actually flashed a faint light. Time gradually passed at the fingertips. Unknowingly, 7 days had already passed. In the stone room that was terrifyingly silent, Long Chen was still sitting cross-legged in the middle of the stone room. The vortex in front of him had expanded nearly 10 times. The Hongmeng aura that had been absorbed into Long Chen's body had already changed all the energy in Long Chen's body. Everywhere, Long Chen's strength had also successfully advanced to level 2 of Hongmeng's consolidation realm. Many times, Long Mu looked at the unresponsive Long Chen and had the impulse to wake Long Chen up. However, looking at the green jade spiritual fruit that was far from being completely refined by Long Chen, Long Mu finally gave up on this idea. However, fortunately, in these 7 days, Long Chen still managed to eliminate the resistance of the green jade spiritual fruit. Now, it was much more convenient for Long Chen to refine the green jade spiritual fruit. Another 7 days had passed. At this time, the green jade spiritual fruit had completely faded away. The dazzling golden light had become extremely ordinary, but the energy it contained was still endless. At this time, Long Chen's strength was already at level 3 of Hong Meng's consolidation realm. There was still a long way to go before Long Chen's estimated level 5. It was also at this time that Long Mu, who had been guarding by the side, discovered a trace of a strange aura. Long Mu had tried many times to capture the location of this aura, but he had always failed. Faintly, there seemed to be a third living creature in this stone room. Chapter 1570. Long Chen suddenly became dazed, and his consciousness seemed to be saying, "Oh no!" Long Mu shouted. In these dozens of days, the thing that Long Mu was most worried about had happened. Although Long Mu had long sensed this strange energy, he did not take it to heart. It had to be said that this energy was hidden very well. "Long Chen, wake up!" Such a sudden thing obviously made the dragon's tomb tremble with fear. Now, although it was not clear what the purpose of this energy was and what this energy was, in the end, as long as it was from the outside, it was probably nothing. There was nothing to gain from it. Long Chen naturally felt the abnormality in his body. He immediately calmed down and began to inspect the energy in his body. "Who are you?" Long Chen began to question. If he did not have complete confidence in this kind of external invasion, Long Chen would not dare to kill it directly. After all, it was in his body. As he spoke, Long Chen also stopped absorbing and refining the green jade spiritual fruit. After all, in this situation, he had to be careful. "Young man, you should feel honored. If your body is under my control, you will definitely be the king of this world." A sharp voice sounded in Long Chen's body. It really made Long Chen and Long Mu feel a little frightened. This energy was actually a person. Long Chen did not react, but Long Mu knew the intention of the source of this voice. "You want to take over the body and be reborn?" Long Mu's tone was somewhat shocked. However, thinking about how this energy could hide under his nose for so long, it was understandable if it had such an intention. At this time, Long Mu also figured out where this energy was hidden. The answer was the jade pendant that Long Chen had obtained from the corpse. This meant that the corpse was the original host of this energy. It seemed that after this person died, his soul imprint was poured into this jade pendant, and Long Chen's arrival gave this soul imprint a chance. Now that this soul that had been dormant for so long had successfully entered Long Chen's body, it naturally wanted to use all its strength to occupy Long Chen's body. "Young man, I didn't expect that there was an existence like me in your body." The voice sounded again. It's good that you know. Now you still don't know when to back off?" Long Mu said harshly. So what? Since you're residing in this brat's body, it means that you're already at the end of your road. You can't compare yourself to me. I've been in this stone chamber for nearly 10,000 years to nourish my soul, all for the sake of waiting. God, since I dared to come in, I will definitely succeed. The voice was extremely arrogant. Because of the entry of this energy, Long Chen's body became out of control. Obviously, this energy was right. Before entering Long Chen's body, it had made a lot of preparations. Now, it was able to control Long Chen so quickly. His body also showed the enormous power of this energy. It gradually faded, and his control over his body became weaker. In his meridians, the strange Hongmeng aura that had been refined suddenly became violent, and even the Dragon Palace was affected. This situation really made Long Chen feel confused. In fact, Long Chen didn't even know what he should do to break free from the entanglement of this energy. "Long Chen, wake up. How could you fall into this guy's trap so easily?" Long Mu was very anxious. If Long Chen was possessed, it meant that Long Mu was not far from death. Although Long Chen heard Long Mu shout, he did not know how to answer or how to say it. "Damn it. Long Mu cursed, "Who the hell are you? Are you the one who destroyed the polar passage between the small spiritual realm and Hongmeng tens of thousands of years ago?" After hearing Long Mu's words, the voice was a little angry. "Don't mention that guy to me. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have fallen into this situation. Such a treacherous person, I can't wait to cut him into pieces. Tens of thousands of years have left me here, facing this empty stone room, all alone. How hateful." After expressing his emotions, the voice once again opened his mouth and said, "There is no need for you to waste your breath on this brat's behalf. During these 10,000 years, I have not practiced anything else other than the body seizing technique. Otherwise, do you think that I would have been able to control his body so quickly? Ha! Moreover, once I succeed in the body seizing technique, if you are willing to continue following me and tell me all the useful things that you know, I do not mind teaching you the body seizing technique. Perhaps many years later. After a few years, maybe I can be kind and let you be reincarnated. Get lost." Long Mu cursed, "I don't care. Only a filthy person like you would use such an insidious method. Despicable, shameless. Go ahead and scold me. When I completely control this body, I'll see if you still dare to be arrogant in front of me." The arrogant voice sounded again. "Is that so? But you may not have the chance." Just as the energy was spouting nonsense at Long Mu, Long Chen's voice finally sounded again. How could it be?" Long Chen smiled and said, "Are you very surprised? The moment you came, you controlled my body and squeezed out my mind. However, you would never have thought that my physique, for a shameless person like you, might be far superior to yours. Think about it, I'm from the dragon tribe." "What?" After hearing Long Chen's voice, Long Mu finally calmed down. When Long Chen said that he was from the dragon tribe, Long Mu also understood the meaning of Long Chen's words. Long Chen was from the Hongmeng dragon tribe, the most powerful heavenly dragon vein. The most special thing about this kind of body was that it had 2 heart apertures. Previously, when the energy entered Long Chen's body, it occupied one of Long Chen's heart apertures. At the same time, it drove out Long Chen's soul and consciousness. Naturally, Long Chen, who was drifting outside, was unable to control his body. After drifting outside for so long, Long Chen, who had no essence, energy, and spirit to inherit, would soon disappear from his body. Chapter 1571. Before he finished speaking, a raging storm appeared in every part of Long Chen's meridians. It began to surge wildly in every part of his meridians, suppressing the original primordial qi in Long Chen's body on a large scale. Even though Long Chen had a strong physique, he still suffered a lot of injuries. Moreover, the storm was sweeping through Long Chen's body, so Long Chen did not dare to be too aggressive. Long Chen's mind retreated into the Dragon Palace. He cooperated with Long Mu to maintain control of Long Chen's body without damaging it. "You have such a heaven-defying physique, yet you're unable to use it as you please. It's truly a waste of a treasure. Give your body to me, and I'll definitely make you famous throughout the world and become a primordial Chaos Dao ancestor." In the storm outside the Dragon Palace, the raging voice roared. Immediately after, the storm of stones increased in intensity. Suddenly, a monstrous wave was formed around the Dragon Palace, roaring towards the entire Dragon Palace. After a few short exchanges, Long Chen gradually understood that the strength of this energy's main body was actually about the same as his own. However, this energy's control of the soul was several levels better than Long Chen's. It was also because of this that this energy's control over the soul was much better than Long Chen's. It was because of this that Long Chen had been repeatedly thwarted. The endless raging storm was above the Dragon Palace, bursting out with a huge destructive force. Even though the Dragon Palace was defended by Long Chen and Long Mu, it was still declining. However, Long Chen was not willing to give up. After all, the other party was just a remnant of his consciousness. If he let the other party snatch his body, it would be a disgrace for his life. Long Chen concentrated his mind. In just a few breaths, Long Chen stimulated a fierce pressure of consciousness from the Dragon Palace. Before the condensation was fully formed, Long Chen did not hesitate. He immediately commanded the pressure outside the Dragon Palace. That ball of storm surged forward. You overestimate yourself. Seeing the pressure of the consciousness in the Dragon Palace, the energy was a little surprised. However, it was obvious that he did not regard it as a big threat. In his view, as long as he broke through the Dragon Palace, the body would be completely under his control. However, Long Chen's ability to control his body for so many years was not to be underestimated. In this way, the two forces in the Dragon Palace confronted each other, and no one could do anything to the other. Young man, I have said it many times. You should feel honored. I am the great elder of the Red Sun tribe. Taking over your body is the greatest blessing in your life. Outside the Dragon Palace, a fierce roar came from the center of the storm. This scene was indeed beyond his expectation. Red Sun tribe? Sorry, I've never heard of it. Moreover, I don't care who you are. My body should be controlled by me. No matter who you are, you're not worthy. Long Chen refused to back down. Well said. The moment Long Chen's voice fell, Long Mu also roared after a long silence, I have been in his body for so long, and I have never thought of taking over his body. Who do you think you are? How dare you come to my Hongmeng dragon tribe? Are you trying to show off in front of an expert? Before his voice fell, a fierce Hongmeng wave suddenly shook the Dragon Palace. In just a moment, a huge circling dragon body appeared around the Dragon Palace. This was Long Mu's real body. Long Mu's body swept out, and a powerful consciousness force rolled out around the Dragon Palace, directly bombarding the storm outside the Dragon Palace. So what if you are from the Dragon tribe? You are just like me. What can you do? In the storm, the man was very disdainful of Long Mu's actions. If it was 200,000 years ago, a person like you wouldn't be worthy of me taking action. Now that you dare to mix me up with you, it's really an insult to me. Since you've come, don't even think about leaving alive. You're just a remnant of your soul. How dare you be so arrogant? Long Mu's voice was heroic and excited, and immediately gave Long Chen a lot of confidence. Long Mu's body swept out, and directly brought out a huge consciousness erosion in the Dragon Palace. Without hesitation, he bombarded the storm again. In fact, the man was right. Long Mu and the energy were indeed the same. However, Long Mu's energy was obviously higher than the latecomers. Long Mu was a pure-blooded Hongmeng dragon tribe. Long Mu tangled with the energy in the storm. Every move would release a huge wave of Hongmeng Qi, which caused a great consumption of the latecomers' energy. At this time, Long Chen did not hesitate. He immediately jumped out of the Dragon Palace, and cooperated with Long Mu to attack the energy together. The two sides were working together, and the energy naturally could not withstand it. Unconsciously, it was defeated. After a while, it retreated into Long Chen's heart aperture. The energy was almost exhausted, and after entering the heart aperture, it did not resist. Dragon. I am doing this because I have no choice. We are the same. If I succeed in taking over your body, you will naturally benefit. He is just a Hongmeng consolidation realm kid. How can he help you? The energy roared. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Long Chen, let's go together. Long Mu shouted. Together with Long Chen, he attacked Long Chen's heart aperture. Although such an action would cause some damage to his heart aperture, if he did not do so, he would be held back by the energy for the rest of his life. Red Sun tribe, right? If I see anyone from this tribe in the future, I'll definitely tell them that you, the Great Elder, are already dead. Long Chen shouted and immediately rushed into his heart aperture. Looking at the two energies bombarding each other, the energy finally showed signs of exhaustion. It did not even have time to react before it was torn to pieces by the two people. The energy was finally annihilated, and Long Chen's heart aperture also suffered a great deal of damage. After regaining control of his body, Longchen showed signs of exhaustion that he had never shown before. It was also at this time that a pile of memories that Longchen did not have suddenly appeared in Longchen's heart aperture. As if it was a real scene, Longchen actually saw the memories that the energy possessed. The memory fragments showed a last glimmer of light. In just a few moments, they faded away in Longchen's heart aperture. However, even in these few short moments, Longchen actually engraved everything that was recorded in these memory fragments into his mind. Chapter 1572. Longchen and Longmu's minds read all the memory fragments in Longchen's heart aperture. Immediately, they understood a past that perhaps no one else would know. According to Longchen's previous understanding, the ruler of the small spirit world chose to help the young man who entered the small spirit world in order to interrupt the passage that connected to the polar region of Hongmeng. He asked the young man to slaughter the 10 major tribes in the polar region of Hongmeng. Then, the young man completed the task. However, the young man still wanted to go back, so he activated the Great Formation again, causing the small spirit world to reappear in the polar region of Hongmeng every 1,200 years. However, after reading the memory fragments of this energy, Longchen had a deeper understanding of this matter. The owner of this energy was the Great Elder of the Red Sun tribe. The Red Sun tribe was one of the 10 major tribes that controlled the entrance to the small spirit world 100,000 years ago. The reason why the Great Elder was here was precisely because of that great battle. It turned out that the young man back then, after receiving the help of the ruler of the small spirit world, had actually subtly changed his initial intention. The young man felt that it would be best if he could control such a great place like the small spirit world. Therefore, the young man's idea changed from taking revenge on the 10 major tribes to controlling the small spirit world himself. The biggest obstacle for the young man to do this was the ruler of the small spirit world. Although the ruler was already seriously injured when he activated the Great Formation, the Hongmeng Tianjing's strength was still not something that the young man could challenge. Therefore, the young man had other thoughts. The young man went out of the small spirit world and tried all kinds of methods to attract the attention of the 10 major tribes. Finally, the young man led a group of people from the small tribes at that time and successfully fought with the 10 major tribes in the small spirit world. That earth-shattering battle was only the result of the ruler using all his strength to destroy the passage to the small spirit world. Because the powerhouses of the 10 major tribes were no longer guarding it, and the young man attracted all the attention of the 10 major tribes, the ruler successfully destroyed the passage that connected the small spirit world and the polar region of Hongmeng. After that, everyone who noticed this change panicked and almost broke down. It was at this moment that the youth finally made his move. Relying on the power that the sovereign had personally bestowed upon him, the youth had managed to kill the sovereign in front of the experts of the 10 tribes. Then, the young man told them the whole story and displayed his strength. Because of this, the 10 tribes had no choice but to submit to him. Thus, the young man became the king of this small spirit world. The people who came with the youth, under the will of the youth, formed a new tribe. The experts of the 10 tribes had no choice but to become the youth's slaves. Perhaps because he had been oppressed since he was young, the young man had a unique interest in bullying others. Relying on his unparalleled strength in the small spirit world, he began to carry out tyranny. Soon, the people in the tribe began to rebel. It was also at this time that the experts of the 10 tribes discovered the Great Formation that the sovereign had used to connect the polar passage to Hongmeng. Everyone saw a glimmer of hope. They wanted to break free from the young man's shackles and return to the polar regions of Hongmeng. The experts of the 10 tribes gathered together and decided to open the Great Formation together. However, the matter was still exposed. The young man was furious and immediately massacred the people of the 10 tribes. After that great battle, the young man's vitality was greatly damaged. The experts of the 10 tribes either died or fled. Moreover, the people in the original tribe had withered. Gradually, the young man found that he was the only one left in this small spirit world. Thus, the young man, who could not bear the loneliness, came to the Great Formation again. He thought that after connecting the passage, he only needed to move in a few more tribes and he would be able to become the king of this place again. The moment the young man opened the formation, several fierce Hongmeng attacks bombarded the young man's body, immediately killing him in the Great Formation. It turned out that the people who had fled were waiting for this moment. The Great Formation was connected, and it looked like they would be able to return to the polar regions of Hongmeng again. However, something unexpected happened. Without the young man, the demonic beasts of Hongmeng and the small spirit world went crazy at the same time. An endless wave of demonic beasts attacked, catching everyone off guard. It turned out that when the young man killed the sovereign, he had conveniently obtained the 2 jade slit rings that the sovereign used to control the demonic beasts of the small spirit world. With these 2 jade slit rings, the Hongmeng demonic beasts of the small spirit world did not dare to go crazy. Now, the young man was dead. If the people could not find the 2 jade slit rings, they would be swallowed by the endless demonic beasts. Finally, someone successfully found the 2 jade slit rings. However, before he could rejoice, he was pulled into a mysterious space by the jade slit ring's strange energy and died there. The remaining people also died under the claws of the Hongmeng demonic beasts. The person who obtained the 2 jade slit rings was the great elder of the Red Sun tribe. Longchen was almost completely in control of the cause and effect of this matter. In the past, the people did not know much about the small spirit world, but now, Longchen had completely understood it. However, even if he knew these things, Longchen felt that it was useless. However, Longchen saw one thing. The jade slit ring in Longchen's hand was indeed a supreme spiritual treasure that could allow him to survive in the small spirit world. Unfortunately, the previous jade slit was taken away by the woman named Zhou Xiaoxiao. The injury of the heart aperture slowly recovered, and Long Mu returned to the Dragon Palace to rest. Longchen, don't be idle. The green jade spiritual fruit in front of you still has a trace of energy. Quickly refine it and advance to the 5th level of the Hongmeng consolidation realm. Hearing this, Longchen did not hesitate. He once again condensed the connection between him and the green jade spiritual fruit. The vigorous aura of Hongmeng gushed out and once again enveloped the green jade spiritual fruit. Before the possession incident, Longchen's strength had advanced to the 4th level of the Hongmeng consolidation realm. Moreover, Longchen estimated that as long as he refined the remaining green jade spiritual fruit, his strength could advance to the 5th level of the Hongmeng consolidation realm. The vigorous aura of Hongmeng filled Longchen's meridians. The aura of the green jade spiritual fruit was also extremely gentle at this time. Suddenly, it turned into a warm current in Longchen's body. This warm current flowed around Longchen's body. Soon, it circulated a large circle in Longchen's body. Longchen's existing strength guided the new Hongmeng aura in his body and let it be slowly absorbed in his body. The light of the green jade spiritual fruit finally faded in this stone room. At this time, a fierce Hongmeng aura burst out from Longchen's body. Chapter 1573. Following Longchen's long sigh, a vigorous Hongmeng aura suddenly floated in the stone chamber. Hongmeng's consolidation realm level 5 strength gave Longchen enough power to come and go freely in the small spiritual world. As long as the opponent's strength was not too much higher than Longchen's, Longchen had absolute confidence. Even if he could not defeat the opponent, he could still come and go as he pleased. For example, in nearly a month's time, he had advanced from Hongmeng's consolidation realm level 1 to Hongmeng's consolidation realm level 5. If news of this speed were to spread, everyone would be so shocked that their eyeballs would fall out. Longchen slowly stood up and slightly experienced the Hongmeng aura floating around his body. Then, he calmed down. Until now, Longchen's expression still had a trace of residual fear. The sudden intervention of the energy had really caught Longchen off guard. If it were not for Long Mu's sudden intervention, Longchen might have really been doomed this time. Looking at the skeleton in the stone chamber, Longchen's expression once again showed a trace of anger. However, after looking through the memory fragments, Longchen understood not only the matters of the small spiritual world, but also some things that were really quite useful. some of them were additional rewards. This great elder of the Red Sun tribe had practiced a Hongmeng consolidation technique called Glorious Sun, which was also obtained by Long Chen. It was this consolidation technique that Long Mu praised after seeing it. Long Chen practiced it once, and its power was somewhat beyond Long Chen's imagination. At the same time, after Long Chen had successfully advanced to Hongmeng's consolidation realm level 5, Long Mu also fulfilled his promise and taught Long Chen a Hongmeng consolidation technique called Mysterious Dragon Sacred Flame. Long Chen had successfully integrated Mysterious Dragon Sacred Flame with the 8-division Heavenly Dragon technique after some pondering. Just like the Heavenly Dragon Howl before, Long Chen had developed a Hongmeng technique called 8-division Mysterious Dragon Flame. Consolidation technique. Practicing 2 Hongmeng consolidation techniques at the same time. If it were someone else, it was very likely that they would not be able to master either one. However, Long Chen had done it. With these 2 books, Long Chen made the best use of his time to practice and improve his strength even more. Moreover, what surprised Long Chen even more was that from the memories of the Red Sun tribe great elder, Long Chen learned of an address. This was where the young man's tribe used to be in the small spiritual world. Perhaps, there would be an opportunity that would surprise Long Chen even more in that place. Moreover, from the memories, there seemed to be a secret mechanism that could only be opened by using 2 pieces of jade. I wonder where Zhou Xiaoxiao has gone. Long Chen frowned slightly. He thought that Zhou Xiaoxiao probably did not know the use of the jade pendant. However, no matter what, Zhou Xiaoxiao would still treat the jade pendant as a spiritual treasure. In short, it would be a little difficult to get the jade pendant from her. No matter what, after staying in this mysterious space for so long, it was time to leave. Long Chen also wanted to know what Long Yuan and the others had done in this 1 month. Long Chen thought that even if he went out now, he would still meet Elder Qi Yan. Long Chen would not be afraid now. Once he used all his methods, he would definitely be able to give Elder Qi Yan a surprise. With this confidence, Long Chen no longer hesitated. He immediately picked up the jade piece. After carefully studying it, Long Chen's mind connected with it. A bright brilliance appeared on the jade piece. Immediately, Long Chen's entire body was covered with a dazzling light. Gradually, a passageway was formed in mid-air in the stone room. Long Chen completely let go of his body and let the passageway lift him up. Then, Long Chen's entire body was sucked out of the stone room by the passageway's power. With Long Chen's departure, the only thing left in this stone room was the corpse without the last wisp of consciousness. Perhaps, after this, no one else would enter this space. The last visitor here could only be Long Chen. When the passageway's power gradually retreated, Long Chen knew that he had already left the stone room. At this moment, Long Chen hurriedly circulated the Hongmeng's aura around his body and wrapped himself up. He was afraid that Elder Qi Yan would be waiting for him. However, to Long Chen's surprise, Long Chen's current position was not the stone hall from before. He was not even in the underground palace. This place was actually beside a river. Long Chen was somewhat familiar with this river. It was the place where he first met the Rushing Thunder tribe in the Sunset Valley. It's actually here. I was wondering why Zhou Xiaoxiao didn't come back to find me. It seems that when the jade slit piece sent her out, it also sent her to another place, Long Chen muttered to himself. Long Chen did not hesitate. He soared into the sky and began to fly in the Sunset Valley. As he flew, he observed the movements of the Sunset Valley. After about an incense stick's worth of time, Long Chen discovered that the Sunset Valley, which was originally filled with people, was now empty. It seems that everyone has left. Long Chen frowned and said, "That's right. It's been almost a month. If they still don't leave, it won't make sense." Long Chen calmed himself down. After a long journey, Long Chen finally arrived at the entrance of the Sunset Valley. What surprised Long Chen the most was that the Sunset Valley was now empty. Even the Hongmeng demonic beasts were nowhere to be found. Long Chen was worried about where Long Yuan had gone. This time, he did not discuss this with him in advance. It seemed that he would not follow Long Yen for long. I have to go to the gathering place in front of the valley. Long Yuan may still be waiting for me. However, Long Chen did not have the heart to leave. After all, he had not found his original goal. Where was the soul-awakened grass? Where was the secret place in the memory of the Red Sun tribe's first elder? What was the mysterious mechanism behind the jade slit ring? All these questions seemed to be waiting for Long Chen. The opening of the small spiritual world would only last for half a year. Since Long Chen entered the small spiritual world, a whole month had passed. Although Long Chen had gained a lot in this month, there was no sign of Long Yuan. Long Chen was still a little unhappy. Great! Thinking of this, Long Chen could not help but speed up. He quickly rushed towards the entrance of the Sunset Valley. Chapter 1574. Long Chen could not help but wonder as he blended into the crowd and looked at the tents everywhere. What was the reason? After the Sunset Valley had been explored by people, why were so many people still staying here? Long Chen walked in the crowd of strangers and quietly inquired for information. After a while, Long Chen found out why there were still people gathered here. It turned out that not far from the Sunset Valley, there was a relic that was discovered by many cultivators. Moreover, according to the estimation of some experts from the Hongmen Jia, this relic was very likely the place where the survivors of the Great Battle of the Small Spiritual World lived tens of thousands of years ago. A place. After grasping this information, Long Chen was slightly shocked. This was the same information he obtained from the memories of the Red Sun tribe's great elder. It seemed that the mechanism that could be opened with 2 jade slit rings was also true. While Long Chen was inquiring about information, Long Chen inadvertently heard news about the Heavenly Dragon tribe. It was a group of people from a medium-sized tribe chatting, and Long Chen happened to hear it. Have you heard? The reason why the Red Flame tribe captured those people seems to be because of a guy called Long Chen. This matter was known as early as half a month ago. It seems that this Long Chen stole something from the Red Flame tribe's elder in the Sunset Valley. The elder was very angry and wanted to use this method to force him to show up. This Red Flame tribe's elder is also crazy. In this small spiritual world, who doesn't plan for himself? If he got a treasure, why would he come back to court death? You can't say that. If this guy called Long Chen really got a great treasure in the Sunset Valley, then he's really rich. Didn't you hear? About 10 days ago, there was a young man who said that he was from the Great River tribe. Somewhere, he found a long sword that was left behind tens of thousands of years ago and became an expert that was the center of attention. Even the experts from the Hongmen Jia could not stop him. Speaking of swords, more than half a month ago, wasn't there a swordsman in the Sunset Valley who had a quarrel with the Red Flame tribe? What happened in the end? Hearing up to this point, Long Chen could no longer resist the urge to look for the Scarlet Flame tribe. Long Chen was very worried. With Long Yuan's character, he would definitely not submit to Qi Yan Elder. Moreover, it had already been half a month since Long Chen entered the mysterious space. If it had been since that day, Long Yuan and the others would have been killed. If he was imprisoned, the Dragon Abyss would definitely suffer a lot. Long Chen immediately set off for the location of the previous trade fair. That was the Scarlet Flame tribe's territory. If Long Yuan and the others were still alive, it was very likely that they would be imprisoned there. The gathering place of the Scarlet Flame tribe was bustling with people. In this 1 month, the Scarlet Flame tribe still regularly held trade fairs. After all, for the sake of the newly discovered ruins, everyone was frantically increasing their strength. Outside the Red Flame tribe's tent, there was a big tree that was indeed very eye-catching. It was not because of the tree, but because there were actually 4 people trapped alive on the tree. These 4 people's hair was messy, their wool was depressed, and there were dark red marks on their faces that were difficult to remove. It was obvious that they had already suffered all kinds of inhumane torture. Moreover, to be able to let these 4 people stay here so peacefully, the 4 of them were very likely to have been poisoned. Perhaps they had already been poisoned. These 4 people were Long Yan and the others who had gone through trials and tribulations with Long Chen in the past. Among them was Long Chen's disciple, Long Yuan. Thinking back, these people's characters were also very strong. Now that they were being humiliated like this, it really made them furious. However, in this small spiritual world, it was just like what Long Chen had heard from that group of people before. Who didn't think for themselves? Moreover, offending a large tribe for the sake of a medium-sized tribe was really a losing business. Moreover, beside the big tree, there were 3 to 5 people who were sitting at the side, looking at the 4 people on the tree with a mocking expression. These people were from the Red Flame tribe. Under Elder Red Flame's orders, they were guarding the people on the tree, waiting for someone to appear. At this time, Elder Red Flame walked out of the tent. He looked at the 4 people with a playful gaze, then slowly walked to the side of his own people. "Elder, I don't think he'll come for a few days. If you ask me, I think that kid really died in the underground palace." A person from the Red Flame tribe stood up and said to Elder Red Flame. Elder Red Flame looked at these 4 people and his heart was filled with anger. One must know that the green jade spirit fruit was an ancient divine item. He could only watch as it was taken by someone who was so much weaker than him. This made Elder Red Flame feel very uncomfortable. This was a threshold. In fact, how could Elder Red Flame not know where Long Chen went? With such a big harvest like the green jade spirit fruit, who would come back and give it to the enemy for nothing? Therefore, Elder Red Flame tortured these 4 people to relieve the discomfort in his heart. Thinking of this, Elder Red Flame walked to the side of the 4 people. His smiling appearance was very disgusting. "What? How's the fire bug goo poison unique to my Red Flame tribe? With your strength, how much can you use? Don't blame me for being so immoral." If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for following the wrong person. It's been so long. If he didn't die, then what? If he knew this news, why didn't he show up? Don't you understand? Old Red Flame, you'll get your retribution sooner or later. Even if Long Chen doesn't come back, you'll die in this small spiritual world sooner or later. Long Yan gathered his strength and cursed fiercely. "Humph." Elder Qian snorted coldly and said, "You really are a tough nut to crack. It's been almost a month, and your bad temper still hasn't changed. Now that the fire bug goo poison has penetrated deep into your bones, before I kill you, the 4 of you will die in a few days. You'll all die. I don't have to worry about that. Anyway, in this small spiritual world, there aren't so many kind people." Not far away, some people looked at this scene and felt some sympathy. This matter just happened to teach these people a lesson. In this small spiritual world, there really wasn't the slightest bit of affection and morality. Without strength, everything was just empty talk. Forget it, I don't think that kid will show up. Tomorrow, our Red Flame tribe will go explore the new ruins. As for you, you can slowly wait for death here." Elder Red Flame shouted loudly. Long Yan said angrily, "I think that the ruins will be your grave." Ha ha ha. Chapter 1575. This area, which was originally bustling with people coming and going, immediately became completely silent after that voice sounded. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared, most of them were dumbfounded. Long Chen? In the Scarlet Flame tribe, some of the people who had seen Long Chen before couldn't help but call out Long Chen's name. After that, they were actually incoherent. Obviously, no one thought that Long Chen would actually appear again. Not only the Scarlet Flame tribe, even the 4 people tied to the tree were shocked when they saw Long Chen appear. To Long Yuan, this was nothing. He always believed from the beginning that Long Chen would definitely come. It was just that he wasn't sure of the time. Long Yuan would get back all the tears that he had suffered in this month. As for Long Yan and the other 2, Long Chen's appearance was really like a reunion of family members. Although in the end, the reason why they ended up like this was more or less due to Long Chen, Long Yan and the other 2 understood that they didn't really blame Long Chen. They only felt that Long Chen saved them. They weren't sure what would happen again. After all, their relationship was just using each other. From the very beginning, Long Yan wanted to use Long Chen to successfully enter the underground palace. Later on, Long Chen successfully fought for the opportunity for Long Yan and the other three to enter the underground palace. It was as if Long Yan owed him Long Chen more. Therefore, when Long Yan and the other two were kidnapped by the Scarlet Flame tribe, Long Chen didn't appear. This made Long Yan and the other two feel a little better. After all, meeting someone like Elder Scarlet Flame was mainly due to their bad luck. If the three of them were in Long Chen's shoes, they wouldn't be willing to appear again. After all, Elder Scarlet Flame hated evil. It was obvious that if Long Chen appeared, Elder Scarlet Flame would definitely not let Long Chen live. Therefore, even if they knew that it was a train of thought, as long as they weren't stupid, no one would risk their lives to appear. And now, Long Chen was standing in front of them, full of energy. This figure was a huge encouragement to Long Yan and the other two. It was indelible. The sudden appearance of Long Chen also made the people of the Scarlet Flame tribe shocked. Soon, each of them prepared for battle. Bursts of Hongmeng aura began to gather around their bodies. Long Chen's expression turned solemn as he looked at the people from the Scarlet Flame tribe who were eager to give it a try. His expression was filled with a trace of anger. He faced the tree where the four of them were tied up, and a burst of bitingly cold and vigorous Grand Mist origin energy suddenly burst out from his fists. Most of the attacks were sent flying. Bang! Long Chen's attack landed on the tree, and the huge impact directly uprooted the thick tree. Although the four people who were tied to the tree also received a big impact, the tree collapsed and the four of them were freed. Looking at the appearance of the four people who were freed, Long Chen frowned and looked at Elder Qian, who was standing not far away. Elder Qian did not stop Long Chen's actions. He looked at Long Chen, who appeared at this moment, and a trace of uncontrollable joy appeared on his face. TSK, not bad, not bad. In just a short month, your strength has increased so much. I presume that you have completely refined and absorbed the green jade spirit fruit? Elder Qian's eyes seemed to be hiding something. It was difficult to fathom. Without waiting for Long Chen to reply, Elder Qian continued, however, since you dared to appear, you should be prepared. The current appearance of the four of them may be your future. Long Chen did not pay any attention to Elder Qian. Instead, he walked to the front of the four people who were freed and said with a slightly miserable expression, "Sorry, I'm late." Master. Long Yuan was very emotional. "It's okay, Brother Long Chen. It's good that you can come," Long Yan said weakly. Long Ping and Long Outyan, who were standing by the side, had mixed emotions in their eyes. Indeed, as Long Yan had said, Long Chen's presence was the best thing that could have happened. "Long Chen, do you have any way to escape this time? The people of the Red Flame tribe have completely controlled this place. If I can't escape, then I will fight this group of Red Flame tribe bastards to the death, even if I have to risk my life," Long Ping said. Long Ping's voice was very depressed. Long Chen smiled warmly and said, "Don't worry. Since I dared to come, I naturally have confidence. You guys recover first and leave the rest to me." After he finished speaking, Long Chen looked at Elder Qian and frowned. Elder Qian chuckled and said, "A month ago, you obtained a jade pendant in the stone hall. Hand it over and I'll let you go." Hearing this, Long Chen was quite shocked. Elder Qian actually knew about the jade pendant. Obviously, there was a description of the jade pendant in the ruins that had just been discovered. "First of all, I can't give you the jade pendant. Secondly, I don't need you to let me go. Lastly, if you kneel down and beg me now, I can let you die with dignity," Long Chen said sternly. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone around him was dumbfounded. Long Chen actually dared to speak to Elder Qian like this. Elder Qian's strength was in the Hongmeng Yuan Jie's realm. Hearing this, Elder Qian's expression changed slightly. He said coldly, "Kid, before you speak, you should consider your own strength. I can see that in this month, your strength has increased a lot. However, your best skill is still that formation, right? This time, I won't give you the time to create another formation. Don't forget, I'm the Hongmeng Yuan Jie. At most, you're in the Hongmeng consolidation realm. After he said this, the atmosphere at the scene suddenly became tense. Everyone could see that both Long Chen and Elder Qi Yan were filled with murderous intent. If others heard this, they might not understand the end point. However, Long Yan and the others were very clear. Elder Qi Yan said that Long Chen's strength was already in the 5th level of the Hongmeng consolidation realm. One must know that a month ago, Long Chen had just advanced to the Hongmeng consolidation realm. What exactly happened in this short month? When they thought of this, Long Yan and the others felt that it was inconceivable. His strength had increased so quickly that it was beyond everyone's imagination. Chapter 1576. Looking at the young man in front of them who was not very special, Long Yan and the other 2 elders could not help but look solemn. Obviously, their attitudes towards Long Chen had completely changed. In the short span of a month, the primordial chaos prime he had tricked had already surpassed him by a huge margin. After knowing that Long Chen's strength had improved, Elder Qi Yan's expression was also a little solemn. He remembered very clearly that back in the underground palace, Long Chen was only a 1st-level chaotic prime in Hongmeng, and he could use a supreme formation to force him back. However, now that Long Chen's strength had improved so much, how would he surprise him? Long Chen said sternly, "Don't think that you are invincible just because you are from Hongmeng Yuan Jie. Also, don't look down on anyone in this small spirit world." Elder Qi Yan snorted coldly and said, "Even if you have your trump cards, I can still crush you in the face of absolute strength. You forced me back last time because I wanted to let you go. This time, if you don't hand over the jade ring, I will beat you up. I will make you hand it over." Behind Elder Qi Yan were many people from the same tribe. Obviously, these people were all at the consolidation realm in Hongmeng. A few of them were even at the 9th level of Hongmeng consolidation realm. With so many people, even if Long Chen used the formation from last time, it would be difficult for him to win. "Let's make a deal." "Why don't we make a deal? Just like I said before, hand over the jade slit ring and I'll let you go. I'll also give you the antidote. Both sides will benefit, so why not?" Elder Qi Yan smiled slyly. "With your talent, you'll definitely be able to advance to Hongmeng in the future. If someone at the Origin Realm dies again today, wouldn't it be a waste of your ability?" Elder Qi Yan's behavior was really shrewd. Before the fight, he used words to provoke Long Chen. Even if he did not succeed, he could still slightly affect Long Chen's subsequent performance. Moreover, Elder Qi Yan's words revealed a slight sense of oppression towards Long Chen. The Red Flame tribe had the advantage in numbers, and Long Chen was the only one who could fight on his side. The 4 people behind him had not recovered from their injuries, so it was only Long Chen. It was really difficult for one person to shake the nail that was the Red Flame tribe. It had to be said that the Scarlet Flame tribe did indeed have the ability to host trade fairs with all kinds of people in this small spiritual world. When Elder Qi Yan's words fell, the area immediately became silent. Everyone's gaze was fixed on Long Chen. They wanted to know how Long Chen would deal with the situation where he was very confident. Long Chen turned his head and looked at the 4 people who were heavily injured. He frowned slightly and said, "I've already made myself very clear. I don't want to repeat myself." When his words fell, Elder Qi Yan's expression immediately became very solemn. In a trance, there was even a trace of ferocity. Elder Qi Yan laughed coldly and said, "I've seen a lot of people who want to die, but someone like you who dares to court death so brazenly, I've never seen anyone like you. You're the first one who dares to do so. Now, even if you want to agree to my conditions, I'm not in the mood." When Elder Qi Yan said this, a strong and vigorous Hongmeng aura suddenly burst out from his body. Instantly, in the surrounding space, there was an invisible sense of oppression. Elder Qian originally thought that under his persuasion, even if Longchen still wanted to seek justice, his attitude would at least change a little. But now, Longchen's actions clearly showed that he had completely given up on this path. Flame! Elder Qian shouted in a low voice. A fierce Hongmeng aura burst out from his body. The surrounding space suddenly became a little hot. The people from the Scarlet Flame tribe also immediately retreated. Clearly, they were deeply afraid of Elder Qian's move. In the hot air, several Hongmeng spirit pillars that were as hot as magma gradually condensed in front of Elder Qian. As the Hongmeng aura fluctuated, these blazing Hongmeng spirit pillars were like arrows that left the bowstring. Longchen rushed forward. Each of these blazing Hongmeng spirit pillars contained a supreme strength that could devour Hongmeng. As long as one was touched by these pillars, it would not take more than an instant for them to turn into a puddle of water. Looking at this sudden attack, if it was the previous Longchen, he would have already made preparations to deploy the Great Starlight Array. But now, with the previous experience, Longchen was a little worried about the Great Starlight Array. Therefore, this time, Longchen had a bold idea. Meet force with force. Longchen wanted to truly understand how powerful this Hongmeng Yuanjie's attack was. He wanted to know if it could create a sea of mountains and seize on him. If he could not withstand it, there was no need to talk about defeating Elder Qian. Longchen thought of the glorious sun that he practiced in the mysterious stone room. That was something left behind by the great elder of the Red Sun tribe. Although Longchen had practiced it, he had never really put it into practice. This time, it was just the right opportunity. Hongmeng condensed around Longchen's body. In his heart, he silently practiced the moves of the glorious sun. The Hongmeng aura of the volunteer medical practitioners surged out like a tidal wave and gathered in Longchen's meridians. Supreme God, the glorious Son of Heaven. Longchen leaped into the air. At this moment, the sky in this area suddenly darkened. Before the crowd could react, they saw a brilliant sun slowly rising in the air. In just a moment, a supreme sun completely condensed in the air, as if a god had personally descended. Glorious sun. Longchen poured his entire body into it, adding his Hongmeng aura into the brilliant sun. Floating above the brilliant sun, Longchen felt a supreme and pure Hongmeng aura. In this world, Longchen seemed to have become the master. With a simple clench of his hand, a golden light flashed, and a huge Hongmeng stone was born. Longchen focused his mind, connecting himself with the brilliant sun, and threw the Hongmeng storm at the oncoming attack. Some Hongmeng spirit pillars. Boom! Chapter 1577. The scorching hot Hongmeng spirit pillars had all disappeared, and Elder Qian's expression became much more solemn. Longchen's first move was such a swift and fierce method. He had shattered his attack in one fell swoop, and this really made Elder Qian lose a lot of face. No matter how many tricks you have up your sleeves, you're still just a brat at the 5th level of Hongmeng's consolidation realm. I'd like to see just how many tricks you have up your sleeves. Elder Qian let out a low growl. His figure also floated in mid-air, and he faced Longchen head-on. The light of the glorious sun shone on Elder Qian's face, and Elder Qian could not open his eyes for a moment. Elder Qian did not hesitate. His body fluctuated, and his entire person disappeared like a ghost. In just an instant, Elder Qian, who had reappeared in front of Longchen, had already moved a little in his direction. At the same time, under Elder Qian's control, several vigorous Hongmeng forces also bombarded Longchen one after another, not giving Longchen any chance to catch his breath. As Longchen dealt with the attacks, he also thought about the fierceness of the glorious sun technique. Because it was his first time using it, and because this technique was taken out from his memory, there were always some aspects of its power that Longchen could not grasp. However, this glorious sun technique was praised by Long Mu. Thinking about it, the power of this technique was far more than what Longchen had used. Good timing. This time, I'll use you to hone the power of this glorious sun. Looking at Elder Qian's figure that was constantly approaching him, Long Chen's body also emitted bursts of glorious sunlight. In an instant, the original glorious sun suddenly expanded a little. The glorious sun emitted a burst of dazzling light, and between heaven and earth, night and day could no longer be seen. The glorious sun was still there, but heaven and earth were pitch black. Occasionally, a burst of dazzling light would explode in the sky, and everyone's eyes would hurt from the light. Boom! Another resplendent ray of light appeared. After which, before everyone could even rest for a moment, a huge Hongmeng pressure rippled out in the air. Following the appearance of the sun, everyone was surprised to see that both of them had appeared in the sky at the same time. There were 7 identical suns. The 7 suns had already become the masters of this world. Elder Qian, who had been approaching Long Chen, was the first to feel the pressure of the 7 suns. Huge and thick pillars of dazzling light were sent to the 7 suns. At the same time, the dazzling light completely sealed off this space. The strong aura of Hongmeng swept through the space like a tide. Dazzling light, incomparable. Long Chen's figure floated above the sun. Looking at Elder Qian's figure, he immediately threw out a punch without hesitation. Immediately, the 7 suns surged wildly. The surging and vigorous qi of heaven and earth gathered and condensed into a new sun in front of Long Chen. This sun was the most powerful brilliant sun technique that Long Chen could perform at the moment. As this sun condensed, the previous 7 suns suddenly disappeared. The huge sun pressed down fiercely, like a wave of pressure. It was like a storm that could destroy the world. What Long Chen did not know was that the glorious sun was never the unification technique or the primordial realm technique that Long Chen understood. The glorious sun was a heavenly technique. In layman's terms, the power of the glorious sun could only be fully displayed by the powerhouses of Hongmeng Tianjing. The glorious sun was unleashed. Although the supreme destructive blazing sun didn't have its greatest power, it wasn't impossible for Long Chen to destroy Elder Qian with this move, given the strength that he had displayed at the moment. Long Chen's gaze was cold. Thinking of the encounter of Long Yuan and Long Yen, Long Chen no longer hesitated. After confirming Elder Qian's position, he focused his mind and directly slammed the glorious sun in Elder Qian's direction. Under the glorious sun, Elder Qian's eyes were filled with disbelief. He never thought that Long Chen's first move would be such a fierce technique. As a Hongmeng Yuan Jie's pride, Elder Qian did not have the domain technique that he was so proud of. He did not have the time to perform it. As the glorious sun was about to descend, the fierce Hongmeng wind hit Elder Qian's body in waves. Suppress. Long Chen did not dare to give Elder Qian any time. He once again condensed Hongmeng's aura and directly suppressed Elder Qian under the glorious sun bang. The earth-shattering tremors directly shook the distant Sunset Valley, causing waves of terrifying echoes to echo incessantly. The dazzling light turned the world into a dazzling day. Above the glorious sun, a huge and fierce Hongmeng's aura gushed out, constantly emitting an unstoppable and fierce aura. Long Chen felt that under this technique, Elder Qian would definitely be seriously injured. However, before Long Chen could recover his mind, a light figure rushed out from under the glorious sun. Upon closer inspection, that figure was Elder Qian. And now, something that gave Long Chen a headache appeared. Elder Qian, who had escaped from under the glorious sun, was clearly enraged by Long Chen. At this moment, his Hongmeng Yuan Jie's strength was completely displayed. Under the glorious sun, Elder Qian clenched his fists tightly. The Hongmeng's aura around his body constantly gathered. Finally, in a short span of a few breaths, the unique domain of Hongmeng Yuan Jie's experts was formed around Elder Qian's body. The so-called domain was a space created by oneself. Within it, one was the ruler of the domain, one was the king of the domain. Long Chen knew that if he was enveloped by Elder Qian's domain, he would definitely not be Elder Qian's opponent. Bursts of green light flowed out, directly wrapping up the entire space. Even the glorious sun that was formed by Long Chen was merged into Elder Qian's domain. All of this happened too quickly. It was so fast that Long Chen was unable to stop it. It had to be said that the strength of the Hongmeng Yuan Jia was still not something that Long Chen could easily kill. After completing the construction of the domain, Elder Qi Yan no longer hesitated. He immediately gathered a strong Hongmeng's consciousness, and without any explanation, blasted towards the glorious sun that had almost smashed him to death. You're tuning into the Mythic Realms YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.